Hi everyone, I am starting in just a moment. Oh, how about now? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, hi guys. I know we're back now. But anyways, as I was saying, for those of you who can't read lips, it's so good to be back. It's so good to be back. So many first-time chatters today. Thank you guys. And just a lot of hype in general in the chat for some true crime today. So thank you guys for being here. I saw this video from Explore With Us. We haven't seen Explore With Us in a while. Maybe can you lower your volume a little? We haven't seen Explore With Us in a little bit, so I'm excited to do that. And I just know that this video in particular, or this case in particular, they call it the real life Gone Girl. I don't know how many of you have seen that movie, but it's about, we don't want to spoil, but then again, okay, whatever. I'm not going to say much more. You'll just have to see for yourself. But for those of you who know the movie, I guess you'll get the gist of it. So let's just do it. Okay. Here we go. Oh, let me. No, that looks about good, I think. There we go. Okay, I think that's good. Yeah, if you know, you know. Kate, thank you so much for the subby. So excited for the return of True Crime Tuesday and Thursday. Me too, thank you. And Towers of Peace, thank you so much for the subby. On a 5-month streak, thank you so much. Okay. Oh, it's 2.5 hours? It is. This one's gonna be 2.5 hours, so let's do it. It must be a good one. Whenever they have really long ones on this channel, they're usually pretty interesting cases.
Hi, I have an emergency. There's a lady on the side of the road. She's chained up. She needs an ambulance.
Do you know where you are?
No!
Are you chained up?
Yes.
And then I saw the small.
Oh. You guys, I forgot all about the stupid scare cannon. Oh my god, that shook me. I forgot about the scare cannon. Oh my god. Well, anyways, AB, thank you for the 5 gifted. And congrats to all the surprise gifted right now. And let's just keep going. You scared me, Lena. Oh my god, Simsy, hi. They came into the stream yesterday from TikTok. And you said you'd be here today, and here you are. Thank you. But yeah, people always say that too, like my reaction ends up scaring them. Sorry guys, sorry. Okay. Here we go.
Revolver.
Take a deep breath, sweetie. Who chained you up? You know the person, or were you kidnapped?
When a young mother goes missing while out for a run, the news of her kidnapping makes national headlines. After 22 days of searching with no sign of her anywhere, her loved ones were beginning to lose hope. That is, until she miraculously reappeared, starved and beaten, but alive. However, the relief was short-lived. Her kidnapping was only the tip of the iceberg. It would take over 4 years to unravel the unbelievable and carefully organized lies. Nothing
Wow,
was...
so one person did all of this. Pika, thank you so much for the subby. And let me know if the video audio is okay for you guys, if you can hear this.
At all as it seemed to be. Not much is conclusively known about the events of Sherry's morning on November 2nd, 2016,
Cherry
except for a few things. The 34-year-old mother woke up early inside her Redding, California home. Her husband Keith left for work around 7 o'clock. Sherry got her 2 young kids ready, fed them breakfast, and dropped them off at Pandora's daycare like she did every day. Seeing as her husband was at work and her kids were at school, these are the only few aspects of Sherry's morning that could be
Avery,
verified.
thank you so much for the subby.
But it's what happened
Yes,
next
13
that would turn
months.
the lives of Sherry and her family upside down and leave the nation stunned. Supposedly, after doing some chores around the house, Sherry changed into some athletic wear and set out for a run. She stepped outside her
Oh my
front
god, so that athletic wear, I'm guessing, was checked in as evidence later on.
door, did
For them
some
to have
light
photos like that.
stretching,
Hi,
then
Cosmic
skipped off the
Bean.
porch and began jogging down the road. When
Oh my god, hold the phone. Oh, sorry guys.
Up, you know.
than anyone could have predicted. Before long,
Go there. Does she not have a vehicle?
Okay,
to
yeah, we
walk
didn't.
in and find Sherry and the kids
Oh,
wiping
I don't
down
want
her
to see
front
that. Okay,
door.
this is so apparently Gone Girl came out in 2014 and this case was 2016. So she took the idea from the movie probably.
Or did some
I don't know anything about this case, so
light
just thinking
stretching,
here.
then skipped off the porch and began jogging down the road. When Keith returned home from work around 5 p.m., his wife's car was in the driveway. He expected to walk in and find Sherry and the kids running around just like any other day. He stepped inside, and there was silence. This was extremely strange. Sherry was a stay-at-home mom, and she'd usually pick their children up from daycare by the time he got home from work. Still, Keith sat down, turned the TV on, and tried to relax. Sherry had probably taken the kids for a walk. Nothing too out
I
of the
know. Oh
ordinary.
my god, Josh, I was wondering that too about the watermark being on their faces. It's kind of distracting, but what can you do?
He sent his wife a text inquiring about her location, but got no reply. He called his mother, but she
said, "Where
hadn't
is
heard from
everybody?"
Sherry either. He then used the Find My iPhone app on his phone in an attempt to locate Sherry's phone, and was relieved when it pinged at the nearby intersection of Sunrise Drive and Old Oregon Trail. However, his relief was short-lived when it appeared that nothing had been taken from the house to carry their 2 small children in. He called the children's daycare at 5:45 and learned they had never been picked up. As worry set in, he drove to find Sherry at the intersection where her phone
Wait, so
had
the kids are safe now. The kids are safe, right? Because they just never got picked up from daycare.
pinged. However, she was nowhere to be found. He pinged Sherry's phone a second time and located it nearby in the grass, abandoned. Not long after that, he made this 911 call.
Hello, can I help you?
So I just got home from work, and my wife wasn't there, which is unusual, and my kids should have been there by now for like daycare. I found her phone, and it's got like hair ripped out of it, like in the headphones. So I'm like totally freaking out, thinking like somebody like
What's her?
grabbed her.
Is her vehicle there? Does she not have a vehicle?
He doesn't seem freaked
Yeah,
out
the
though.
vehicle's at the house.
Okay, the vehicle is at the house.
She's running.
How? Okay.
Yes, I'm in it right now driving, and I took a picture of her phone on the ground before I picked it up.
When's the last time you heard from her?
She sent me at 10:47 asking me if I was coming home from lunch from work. Something happened to her is the way I'm looking at it.
I understand you're freaking out a little bit. We want
He's not.
We want to make sure we get your kids. Make sure they're okay.
Do you want me to wait right here for somebody, or?
If you want to head back to your residence so they can contact you there, and in case she does return.
Okay.
Okay.
Police soon arrived to talk to Keith, but according to him, he knew nothing about what could have happened to his wife. The immediate area was looked over, and after coming up with nothing, they organized a formal search. In the following days and weeks, the search area would grow, and so would the number of people searching. Neighbors, friends, family, and volunteers from all over California.
Oh my God, if she really did fake this, I wonder like where she hid to do this. Especially if her image is going to be like plastered everywhere.
Would join what ended up growing into a widespread manhunt for Sherry. All the while, Keith was at the forefront of the campaign to find his wife. While it's true that people go missing every day whose faces aren't plastered on the news, the rally to bring Sherry home garnered more media attention than anyone could have predicted. Before long, Sherry's picture was underneath headlines across the country. The story quickly caught fire, and Keith, as well as the police, were getting calls from media outlets left and right for intel on the case. But truthfully, there weren't many updates to give them. Investigators weren't able to lift anything useful from Sherry's cell phone. With that being the only piece of evidence they had, detectives found themselves with no real direction to go in. They quickly turned their attention to Sherry's husband to see what he knew about his wife's disappearance. What detectives would end up uncovering through their conversation with Keith were unsettling details pertaining to an unhealthy side of his and Sherry's relationship, or what some might call motive. What you're about to see is newly released footage of one of the police's earliest conversations with Keith, which took place shortly after Sherry went missing. The footage has been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed attorney, a licensed clinical psychologist, a former licensed professional counselor, and a licensed professional counselor.
All of these people spoke to him, is that what he said?
A former licensed professional
Sorry.
licensed attorney, a licensed clinical psychologist, a former licensed professional counselor, and a licensed professional counselor.
But like a
This guy is all of those things?
normal route,
Is that what they're saying?
Would she run on Old Oregon Trail to Paracast back?
She would normally go to the mailboxes and back. Now, she's been running more and more. She wanted to get ready for the Casa run. We're all gonna go to it's like the Casa where everybody jumps up superheroes.
Okay.
You know. Now, when I used to run, I'm not gonna mailbox and back. That's nothing. You know. So I would make a big loop and go down Old Oregon Trail and then come back. Now,
Through Paracast?
I'd go Paracast and I'd come home sunrise.
Okay.
So there's a possibility that she was like, hey, I'm going to step up my, running. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to walk the Old Oregon, and then I'm going to run again or something.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to something like that.
He
Because
seems
the way the
guilty.
phone is, I mean, I'm sure you guys
I feel like
that.
we're supposed to know at this point that she's not because she's faking her abduction. But he seems so guilty. He doesn't care. He doesn't seem like the least bit concerned that his wife is just vanished. Sarah Fish, thank you for the
I know I
subbing.
showed a picture. It's weird to me, and I forgot all my ideas, but
Yeah,
my
and he's
latest idea
fidgeting.
is I don't think
Yeah,
it
that's true.
happened
He's
there.
fidgeting too.
I think where the T is, where you can go Paracast or Sunrise, I think it happened somewhere in there because there's no houses except for that crack house. So I think
Crack
two
house-
guys or
house
something
made
in
him
a car,
chuckle.
they drive, the phone gets cell phone range again. It doesn't have cell phone range right there. It makes a sound, bling or something, and they go, oh, and they grab it, and they give it a little chuck so it bounces, and then it kind of stays.
He's talking like me when I tell stories, like the little sound effects and all of that. But not if your partner's missing.
But it's still pretty intact, so that's why I don't get that part. There's a few random stories I've been getting. Obviously, you have tips. I was hoping maybe you could see if you did get some good tips. We're allowed to talk about that. But one of the girls was like, oh, I saw her run by at 11:30, and I heard a scream over my radio at 2, and the cops never talked to me. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? They came to your house at like 1 a.m. because it was that weird house with the shady people. So I'm like, so then everybody wants to talk to all these people now, and I feel like there should be a dog going to the house knock just to see if it smells anything around their house, because I still feel it's somebody. I don't think that lives near me, but I think it's an acquaintance of somebody down my street. Is my theory. Because some guy driving on the road, he's like, hey, hop on, pull in.
I'm sorry, just all his mannerisms, it's not adding up. Even if she faked her abduction, this guy has something to do with it.
That seems totally not logical, but not ruling it out.
Like, why is he smiling at all?
And another part of our day yesterday was to see if this was voluntary or involuntary, like missing.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran that stuff out, and we're still back to where we are.
Yeah.
We know where she's at. We know where her phone is. Mm-hmm. We have a rough time estimate of that. As far as they hear the scream over the radio, we have talked to her. Mm-hmm. Just like talking, it's hard to verify certain things. The 11 o'clock fits lots of other stories and people.
Bella, hi! Oh my gosh! Bella Carlton, that's my cousin from Michigan. Hey, girl!
We'll talk.
How exciting. This is the second time I had a cousin come into my streams, and it's just so cool. The first time, it was my cousin Joey, who I used to babysit. And he came into the stream, he's like, oh my God, Lena, you used to babysit me. And I was like, because his username wasn't his actual name. I'm like, no, that's not true. I'm like, there's only 2 boys I used to babysit for. And he's like, yeah, Joey and Sammy. I'm like, oh my God, Joey, I miss you, I love you. So it's always cool when you get family coming in here. Bella, I miss you too. How exciting.
I'm saying 11 to 12 she left, and I think 11:10 she started running. Based on text message, based on the guys that were cutting that tree right there that saw her.
He's clearly been brainstorming a lot
I don't know
concerning
what he's
his
saying,
wife's
but he's
disappearance,
talking a lot.
as would any spouse who's desperate to find their partner. However, someone who wants to keep suspicion away from them could also benefit from planting theories and steering the investigation in a particular direction. In a missing persons case, the victim's partner is very often one of the first and most thoroughly investigated of the suspects, and Keith is likely aware of the detective's suspicions. The spouse is often looked at closely when their partner disappears, so the detective is likely suspicious of Keith right now.
The only other thing I was thinking is also maybe she got tired and sat down.
He is very, very sus.
I was like, this is weird.
Pigs on Pluto, thank you for the subby. Introverted Unicorn, thank you for the subby.
You saw it.
It's not
the hell would you sit there? Yeah. And she wouldn't want to get her like butt dirty. I know her. And then why would she leave the phone? And if some guy like pulled her, she would scream. So I don't know. Or there would have been like a kick mark. I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah.
But I saw anyway.
Keith not only recognizes but points out holes in the abduction theory. This is an indicator that he's being truthful with detectives. Someone who's guilty in this situation would have more to gain by pushing the idea that she was taken, rather than tearing it down.
Now, one thing I heard, and obviously I have a different stand, and you guys have to go with facts.
Okay, so maybe that's why he's not like freaking out and he's more calm, because he's suggesting that it was voluntary and that she wasn't abducted.
But I heard Senko, and he's like, at this point, it's not an abduction. Me, I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, why are you saying it is? Is that because you have no evidence, or is that because you're like, we're still checking out, because my family member, he's like, I don't think you're not still being looked at. And I was like, they can look at me all they want. Like, I'd be pissed if they were wasting resources on me. I understand that they need to look at me, but I was like, if there was like a team of 5 guys looking into me, and this whole time they should have been, okay, it wasn't him. We need to go here. I'm gonna be like, I'm kidding you. So sorry, I'm getting upset, but I wanted to bring it to your attention.
So I don't know why that was said,
Twitter
but that fine
I know where
line,
it's coming from.
big scheme of things, per paper, per what we're putting out there, she's a missing person at risk with suspicious circumstances.
Okay.
That's the legal mumbo jumbo.
Okay.
That's not to believe that we're not investigating this like it's an abduction.
Okay.
The legal term is missing person at risk
Thanks, Avery.
under suspicious circumstances.
All right.
That's why that was said.
All right.
So it's not suspicious circumstances for us, for paper, whatever, like for that side of stuff, is the abduction, or what we believe possibly is an abduction. So we're running that down as an abduction at this point until evidence tends to show us
One or the other.
Most innocent individuals will be cooperative with an investigation, but they may express anger or dismay at being wrongfully accused. Given that this is a missing persons case, there's an even greater sense of urgency to find Sherry before it's too late. It's justified that Keith would be frustrated by the idea of police possibly wasting time looking into him.
In the meantime, I think you said you had questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, based on that, we're looking at you. Yes, we are looking at you.
Awesome.
I told you that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
We're not wasting resources on it, but to get to the
You have to cancel me out.
to fully get to the next step, not saying that there's not detectives on that next step, to fully get to that next step, we have to look at you. Because if we don't, it's irresponsible.
When the detective definitively informs Keith that he's a suspect, Keith leans forward and puts his hands on the table, a gesture that indicates that
Reaching? Do we think it's reaching? Because sometimes they reach a little in these videos.
he's being open and has nothing to hide. Though his mannerisms suggest that he'd have no reason to be involved, the troubling undertones of their
sometimes they do
relationship
that.
might suggest otherwise.
What was going on in your guys' relationship in February of this year?
I would have no idea. I mean, I'm assuming it would be related to maybe a text message, and then we go back and forth and we say mean things when we get in arguments.
Seeing as the detective is asking about something that occurred 9 months prior, it's not too concerning that Keith can't seem to remember. But his response does provide us with some key information concerning the extent of their relationship troubles. If someone rarely gets into fights with their spouse, it's more likely that they'd remember a fight from months ago. It would be such an unusual event that it would stand out in their memory. However, if a couple's relationship dynamic involves frequent screaming matches, it would be more difficult to remember each one because it's such a regular occurrence that they start to
is
blend
true.
together.
You concentrated more like
I
recently
agree with that.
everything's fine. Recently things have been fine.
Definitely.
And which it all appears that way.
Oh, yeah. I
Uh,
understand you need to go back because you're asking, I mean, you guys are good and you guys have your arguments. Sherry is definitely very, she wants the, I don't know, try to figure out how to do this here. We get in arguments and she blows up, not Facebook.
Spit it
or anything,
out,
but she'll
Keith.
definitey make a big scene and get
Just say
very
how you
mad.
feel.
And she's kind of a slam door type of a person. Me, I'm like, don't, you're gonna break. I am more of, I want to leave and go and leave the situation. Like, cool.
I'm starting to feel bad for Keith. I do think he's innocent, actually. I think he's innocent.
Then I get in trouble for that because that makes her upset. So then I don't leave now. I sit there and I go, calm down, calm down, calm down. Then she'll like want to, verbally kind of attack, if you will. And then she'll say some mean things. And then after so much, I'll say some mean things. Then we are upset. And then within like a day, hey, that was pretty wild last night, right? And then we're all good because we have kids. I don't like when she yells and gets mad in front of the kids. It's like, I remember when I was a
Why
kid.
is he so chill then? Maybe he really thinks that it's voluntary and she just wanted to get off the grid and not be found.
My parents used to fight. I hated that. So it could have been something where we fought about, yes, but you can't do that around the kids. So I am willing, if you want me to, I'll go and read, or you can tell me what the exact fight was, and I'll tell you everything about it.
What Keith is describing could qualify as an emotionally abusive relationship, with Sherry being the abuser and himself being the victim. Her alleged explosive temper could be seen as a manipulation tactic to get Keith to do what she wants. However, without Sherry here to give her side, it's difficult to know what's actually true. When a partner is abusive,
I just see Ben Affleck too sometimes. I'm trying to think in that movie. In Gone Girl was Ben Affleck's character. I feel like he wasn't like at first they set him up to be the victim, but it came out that he wasn't completely innocent.
especially in the form of emotional abuse, it's not uncommon for them to try to twist the situation to make the victim seem somehow responsible for the abuse. One way they do this is to gaslight the victim and make them feel that their
They
feelings
said the
are
word
invalid.
gaslight.
This can cause the victim to feel crazy and question their own feelings, and sometimes even leads to extreme cases of the victim acting out. In that case, it makes it even easier for the abuser to flip the script, since the victim outwardly appears as the unstable one in the relationship, when really they're being driven to that behavior by the abuser's manipulation. Regardless of who's fueling the fire in their relationship, the conditions Keith is describing are very unhealthy.
Are these loud arguments?
No, for her, she will get loud. And I was telling you guys a story got kind of cut off. We have had the sheriff's out at her house one time. It's probably not on record because we weren't fighting. We were watching a movie, The Book of Eli, and some lady called saying she heard glass breaking and a woman screaming. And they came out and we're like, what are you doing here? And it ended up being kind of a funny story.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're not going to report this. This is stupid. But we've never had, like a domestic ever in history.
Reported.
Not reported or even think. We would.
So
we have a funny, weird relationship where we joke about that stuff because we were at Halloween at our friend's house and we were playing this Ninja Fruit Slice with the Wii. And
He's being so detailed in his story. He literally tells stories like me.
went to slice the thing and I hit her like right in the eye. And she had like a black eye. And
Oh.
we were at her friend's house and we're, oh my God, it was like Halloween 2011 or 12. So then, because we don't live that lifestyle, like, oh, what happened? And I'd be like, she didn't put the dishes away. Like, I'm making jokes like that.
He's innocent,
so
you
everybody knows
guys.
us
I
as
think he's
being,
innocent.
Like, jokers or something like that. But we would never.
That he would joke
never
about
admit.
it? I feel like he wouldn't if
So
that was the
back in
case.
2011-ish, is that when that incident happened?
With the wheat?
Yeah.
Give me a second here.
Like,
We
I'm
didn't
not
have kids yet, so I'm trying to remember.
good.
Here.
Pre-kids. Pre-kids is the situation.
Pre-kids, and I can't even tell you the people of the house that I was at.
Because there's noise. I've heard about this incident,
That's funny.
but
Jokes about domestic violence. I'm not saying it's okay, but based on everything else he said up to this point, and he's like, yeah, sometimes I joke about it, but like he wouldn't even say that or mention it if he was actually guilty of it.
it wasn't the Wii game. I heard the Wii game
Yeah, I agree. His reaction isn't that of a killer.
was like the cover for it.
Those are the people that were actually there.
Okay. And that works. And I drank the word yesterday.
Oh, okay.
The fact that Keith is making light of the incident, given the circumstances, will likely stand out to the detective as concerning behavior. It's no laughing matter that someone he knows is claiming that he's covering up abusive behavior. It's possible that he's using humor as a coping mechanism to ease his feelings of discomfort. It's also notable that Keith chooses this moment to remove his jacket. When someone encounters something they deem a threat, such as the abuse accusation, they may begin to feel hot and exhibit physical symptoms such as clamminess or sweating. An innocent person might demand to know who would make such an accusation and insist that the accuser is lying. Keith, however, doesn't seem interested in where the accusation is coming from, which is a possible red flag. But he may not appear concerned because he believes the references he provided can easily confirm his story. As well, it's possible he finds it funny because he's confident in what actually happened. So he thinks it's stupid that someone lied about it.
I'm trying not to. In this moment, I don't want to talk bad about her, but you're kind of.
And this isn't.
I'm not saying you're forcing me, but I want
We're
to tell
not
you everything because I don't.
We're not talking bad about her.
She will, kind of come at me. I'm a hug and hold until you calm down kind of a guy.
So there are people who say that they've heard arguments coming from the house. Not saying on a regular basis, just that they've heard actual arguments.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, she gets very vocal, loud. I'm like, come in the house. It's not. Don't be yelling because I hate more than anything bringing attention to stuff like that. And she's very loud when she gets upset.
Okay.
And I'm more of like, calm down, just calm down, like calm down.
The other thing we heard
Yeah,
was
is he saying too much? I
voicemail
don't
from
know.
Richard.
Oh yeah, that was horrible. I just got on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Looks like
he
it's
called
almost-
you individually
It's
and
almost
then her
over
individually.
interrogation.
Wait.
There's
Okay.
Are you talking about
there's a
a
message
voice,
on.
the horrible one from him?
Yeah.
Richard is Sherry's father. Sherry is said to have had a poor relationship with her parents most of her life, especially with her mother, Loretta. Following Keith's interrogation, we'll dive deeper into her childhood by hearing from people who witnessed it, a few lifelong friends of hers.
When Sherry was growing up, her parents did horrible things. When they were kids, they would give them presents on Christmas and let them open them all and then take them all back and say that's what your punishment is for not mowing the lawn. Like, they're horrible when it comes to that. But for whatever reason, even all they put them through, she feels the need to keep them in their life. And I'm like, it's your call on it. That's fine. I'll back you up.
Police records dating back to 2000 and 2003 suggest a rocky relationship between Sherry and her family. Alleged altercations include claims that Sherry kicked in a door at the Grafe home, that she made an unauthorized withdrawal from her parents' bank account.
AB's not the only
Though
one
these
to do
events
it.
haven't officially been confirmed to have taken place, the allegations are troublesome.
The reason the thing started is it was about her birthday, our daughter's 2-year birthday, and she rented out like this big hall in Shasta Lake City, and we made a carnival, like we had all these board games, and we had lots of kids. And the parent, they said, "Oh, we can't make it. We have a boat drag race." And then they got mad at her for scheduling it. Then the dad called, and he's like, "How dare you F this, you blah, blah, blah." I mean, you heard it. It was horrible. So she got that, sent it to me. So that's how that voicemail got sent. So then she sent some emails. I'm assuming you saw some of those. All right, we got some emails from them that were horrible. And I'm like, are you?
Yeah, no one kicks in a
That's
door like
ridiculous.
AB though.
We had, in the very beginning, which I
He
don't
has some
like talking
pizzazz
about, we had a little
while he
boy
does it. And
where
grace.
she went to like some big like conference thing in some other state on AT&T. And there was like a text message. I met this cute guy. And
Woo!
whatever. And I came across this. What the fuck is this? We got in a big fight. I was extremely hurt.
Well, we don't even know if
he's
what he's saying, if he's telling the truth, first of all. We need to hear
I
Sherry's
don't want to
side.
get divorced. You know, she didn't do anything with the guy, but I was like, this is, how the f are you doing that? You know, I was like super scared and afraid. I was like, we're going to get a post nuptial. So I went out and I
what?
got to get a post nuptial.
So that's a thing. So like, if you want to get divorced and you don't want your ex to take all your money, yeah. I thought that at that point you just like argue it out in court about who gets what
So
and
I
how
went
much.
out and I got one. She's like, I'll sign whatever. Like, I didn't mean to do this, whatever.
Notice that Keith describes the text message situation as a little blip. However, the resulting explosive argument clearly suggests otherwise. Keith might have a general tendency of minimizing the issues in his and Sherry's marriage. On the other hand, he might be downplaying their problems to dissuade the detective from looking at him as a suspect in Sherry's disappearance or a perpetrator of domestic abuse. He also seems to gloss over how exactly he stumbled across the text messages in Sherry's phone. The fact that Keith read her texts in the first place indicates that there was already some level of distrust in their relationship before that incident.
That's true.
But we make up and then we both, you know, we never get divorced. We'll never get divorced. Like, we're locked tight. We know that we go through these, and a lot of people are getting divorced. We're not that couple.
We're looking for any shred of anything.
Coincidentally, a series of text messages between Sherry and a man by the name of Donovan Misk found their way in.
Wait, why? That's awesome. Wait, who is this? Christina? Donovan? The love of your life? I'll be in San Fran for a few days and driving to Portland. Make time for me because a few months later I plan to travel the world.
Into the investigation shortly after her disappearance. It seems the two were communicating in the days leading up to Sherry's
And she said, you and your girlfriend going, or you're going alone? If this is real.
departure, and even trying to coordinate a time to meet up. In the end, they were unable to establish a feasible plan. Donovan was soon cleared of any involvement as it was verified by his cell phone records that he'd never made his way to the Reading area as they discussed.
The only thing I can think of would be her laptop.
But if there is a computer there, and we're trying to find the skeleton life. Everybody's got a personal life. I'm sorry, a private life.
I'm feeling
public
bad
life,
for Keith.
and skeleton.
I don't know
So
what
there's
to think yet, but I'm
possibility
feeling
that
bad
stuff
for him.
Today,
The laptop, Yeah, I really been using the iPad, so I don't really want to give that up.
Although it may seem odd for Keith to not want to hand over evidence that could potentially assist police to find Sherry, this doesn't necessarily point to his involvement in his wife's disappearance. However, it does indicate that there might be something on the iPad that he'd rather the police not see. Regardless of the reasoning, an attorney will almost always advise you not to willingly hand over your phone or other devices unless the police have a warrant. Either way, judging by the exasperated face rub, Keith is stressed by the detective's request, something the officer will surely note.
What's today's goal?
We have people looking.
I haven't seen
we
the
have
officer
people
know
looking
anything.
For surveillance, we have people contacting the people who've already been caught. So like the tips, like people are going and actively working. So we are a fishnet out there. Everybody's doing something. So we don't.
No, it's fine. I won't. Part of me wanted to like shut I-5 down for anybody coming and going.
Everybody's got a piece of this in our agency.
Go over there. I'll get that. And I'll just call you later.
Yep.
Keith wasn't the only one who could offer a look inside Sherry's life. Police also had several interesting conversations with people close to Sherry. Everyone had something fascinating to say, though some of their claims would sharply contrast Keith's description of his marriage.
Did she talk to you about, like, the ins and outs of her life and relationship with Keith?
She was never real specific with a lot of things. I mean, I definitely knew that there have been some problems going on for quite a while with them. It was very obvious in her behavior.
How could you describe that to me?
She would flake, which is something she would never do. You know, you'd make plans with her, and she wouldn't show up.
That was me in high school because my mom never let me go or do anything. So like whenever my friends are making plans to hang out, I'd be like, yeah, oh my God, of course, or whatever, I'm down. That sounds fun. And then the last day I'll have to be like, oh guys, sorry, I can't go. I hated it so much.
Or she would give you some lame excuse as to why she wasn't there later.
Has she ever made claims of, like, abuse or anything like that on, like, Keith's behalf to you?
No.
I hear she gets explosive when she's angry.
Yes, I knew her as a kid.
Oh, okay.
We always called her crazy. You know, she was crazy.
Lena,
she was
same
wild.
ethnic parents. Yeah, I mean, I get why they do it. But God, just sometimes it could be too much. And like sometimes it would just be for no reason. It's just like, oh, you were not last week, so you can't go out this time. And I just always envied my friends who were just able to like go out whenever they wanted and wherever they wanted.
I'm not surprised, and I kind of feel like I'm the only person who feels like she ran away, but I really do. Has anyone told you that she has a history of running away? Do you guys know that this isn't really out of character for her? You know, she may have had a getaway plan that maybe she never thought of using, and then the day she went missing, I don't know if they got in a fight, I don't know, whatever. Maybe.
Oh my God, okay, now we have multiple perspectives saying that maybe this was voluntary. She was not abducted.
And said, I can't do this anymore, I'm done, and left. And my concern now is this has gotten so big, so fast.
She's super
she
mom
ran away, and now she's decided, I had a mental breakdown, I made a mistake, I want to come home. She can't.
Sherry's friend is very insightful here with her response. She is correct. If Sherry left on her own, then it would be very difficult for her to suddenly come back home without facing judgment and repercussions now, as police had become involved. However, there is a key difference between her having run away as a child or teen and what might have happened in this situation. If Sherry staged false evidence to make it look like she was abducted, she might have felt she couldn't allow it to appear that she left willingly, as that could make her look like a bad parent. If she cared more about what everyone would think of her versus how her family would feel about her being kidnapped,
wait, that's
this could
true.
suggest she has narcissistic tendencies.
So when Sherry and I were growing up, 15 years old, she ran away from home, went to San Ramon area, Walnut Creek. Well, we got back in touch with each other, and she ended up moving down to Orange County and with a boyfriend. She's had lots of boyfriends, lots of men in her life. I do believe when she married Keith, her husband now, she had actually been active with as many men as she was years old.
Okay.
So,
Oh my God, her friend is just spilling all the
and
tea.
Keith is aware of that. He knows that.
Was that a problem for him, or?
It was a problem for him, yes. You know, and then he came over and
Chances this woman sounds
talked to
jealous.
me and said that he had, you know, found out she was talking to an ex-boyfriend via email, and, you know, that really upset him, and he just didn't know, you know, why she was doing this type of situation. So there is a history of that.
What about like the last year between her and Keith?
They have seemingly been fairly happy. I mean, that she, you know, has expressed to me in the past. I can't tell you if it was for sure in the last year she said it, but if I ever try and leave him, you know, he'll kill me.
Sherry's alleged promiscuity prior to marriage, along with instances of her talking to other men while she was married, may be attention-seeking behaviors caused by a personality disorder. An individual with borderline personality disorder may have a pattern of unstable relationships and impulsivity. They may also demonstrate intense or inappropriate displays of anger. To our knowledge, Sherry was not diagnosed with this disorder.
You know, I mean, she even like went down to, he will chop me up into little pieces and bury me in the backyard. Like, that is verbatim out of her mouth.
And one of just our like questions around the office is why why she's a stay-at-home mom and takes the kids to daycare.
She really wanted the kids to be prepared for preschool, for real preschool and kindergarten. And her belief system was that going to a daycare, which, Pandora, that's it, she teaches them numbers and how to count and the ABCs, and they actually do work through play. And so she really, when she was just starting to research it, she's like, well, why not start now? Why not start early? So that was how she explained it to me. And that's why I don't think this is her doing. I really strongly feel like she would not leave those babies.
So I'm trying to figure out who Sherry is as like a person.
She was definitely original. She always marched to the beat of her own drum. She never let society dictate. I know when her and Keith first started dating, there was a weekend I had been up in Reading visiting, and Sherry and I were out doing something, and she was telling me that Keith had made her, I guess he'd found some of her old journals, and I guess Keith made her throw away.
Wait, why do you guys think this person is not a good friend? I mean, if she wants her friend to be safe and to be found, you would give them all the tea, right? Tell them everything you know.
All of her old journals
Snitch.
because they had mentioned ex-boyfriends.
A few of you saying she's not a good friend
over this issue.
Do you think that Sherry has the ability just to walk away?
No,
like from
there's
the
no
family?
way.
Okay.
She was so family orientated.
So the tip is that there's a lot of verbal arguments and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and they get very loud. Sometimes it's in the middle of the day. Sometimes it's late at night and very verbal, and you can hear glass breaking and all sorts of shit.
If you grew up out there, and I heard Keith grew up out there, did you know him while you guys growing up?
He grew up across the street from us. He's never really been the kind of guy that had a lot of friends because he's just not a nice guy. He puts on a really good show, but he's an ass.
Police looked into leads like these, all the while expanding their search throughout Shasta County, down the length of California, and even to other states. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office received theories from everyone regarding Sherry's case, including Facebook detectives, people who saw Sherry in dreams, and a surplus of self-proclaimed psychics. Over 600 tips and leads related.
They use tips like that? Based on people's dreams and based on psychics?
To Sherry's disappearance poured into the tip line. Many feared Keith was behind Sherry's disappearance and implored detectives to take a closer look at him. However, it was eventually deemed that Keith was not responsible for Sherry going missing. He voluntarily took multiple polygraph exams, which didn't indicate deception.
Notoriously
Other factors
inaccurate.
along with these findings led authorities to determine Keith wasn't involved in his wife's disappearance, and they focused their efforts elsewhere. Furthermore, police were able to contact the Best Buy where Keith was employed and confirmed that he was indeed at work all day on November 2nd. It should also be clarified that no allegations of abuse by Keith, mental, physical, or otherwise, have ever been proven. In fact, as you'll see, police would find information that could possibly cast doubt on these allegations later down the road. But for now, detectives were at a standstill. None of the hundreds of tips nor any of the information they got from Keith got police any closer to discovering Sherry's whereabouts. Then, in the early hours of Thanksgiving Day 2016, something mind-blowing happened. It started around 4:30 a.m. when California Highway Patrol Dispatch received several concerning calls reporting a pedestrian on the freeway. These calls have never been released to the public until now.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
Why, I wanted to report something in the middle of the freeway on I-5.
And what do you mean they're in the middle of the highway? In a car? Or they're standing
It's
there?
gonna be her.
Standing in the middle of the freeway.
She's saying that she got kicked out of her boyfriend's.
Okay, just be safe where you are. What is she asking for?
She's asking for an ambulance. She's chained up, her vision's blurry, and she needs an ambulance.
Do you see her chained up?
Yes.
Can I talk to her? Please. Sherry, I need you to listen to me. Listen to me. Do you know where you are?
No. I've been in the car. Yes,
Okay, sweetie, listen to me. I need you to take a deep breath, calm down, and listen to what I'm saying. I have an officer en route. We've had several calls. Are you chained up?
Yes.
Okay, take a deep breath, sweetie. Who chained you up? Do you know the person, or were you kidnapped?
No, I never saw her face.
Listen to what I'm at. Listen to what I'm at. Sherry, take a deep breath, because it's hard to help you if I can't understand you. Okay? How did you get chained up? What happened?
Maybe she didn't fake her disappearance. She took me.
She took me.
Who took you? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
No, there was two of them.
Okay, listen. I have help on the way.
I want to call my husband. I want to call my husband.
Okay, listen.
This all seems very real, I feel like. What she's saying and her just like she seems so overwhelmed.
Where were you taken
Is she
from?
framing her friend? Oh my god, imagine.
From Reading.
You were taken from Reading?
Reading. I live in Reading.
Okay, how did someone take you? Okay, Sherry, we will get help with you and we will get your husband, but right now I need you to help me help you. Do you know how someone took you? How did they get you out from Reading?
I want to call my husband.
Ma'am, right now I need you to get me information so I can help you. We will get in
She
touch
does.
with
I think so too. She does sound really
your
scared.
husband as well, but right
Maybe she's not the
Okay,
real life
I
Gone
have
Girl.
officers and I have ambulance on the way. Right now I need you to talk to me.
I want to call my husband. I want to call my husband.
The young wife and mother who'd vanished 22 days earlier seemed to appear out of thin air onto the shoulder of Interstate 5. When she was found, she looked malnourished and her wrists and ankles were bound with a mix of zip ties.
Oh my
and
god.
what
Okay, this is really crazy because I don't know what to expect anymore. I really don't. I don't think that this is voluntary.
appeared to be hose clamps.
Maybe she really was
Around her
abducted.
waist was a thick metal chain held together by a padlock. Police arrived and she was transported from the side of the highway to a nearby hospital to be medically assessed. Official police records indicate that Sherry was reluctant to speak with authorities at the time of her rescue. One detective stated that she seemed irritated by the questions he presented to her. However, Keith encouraged her to provide what information she could in order to aid in the investigation. It was also noted that Sherry told a responding officer she'd managed to escape, while she claimed to investigators that her captors had released aid in the investigation. It was also noted that Sherry told a responding officer she'd managed to escape, while she claimed to investigators that her captors had released her. To add further confusion,
I don't know.
Sherry
Never mind. I
stated
don't
to
know what
Keith
to
that she
expect
should have just
now.
ran. If she had, in fact, been chained up, however, this clearly wouldn't have been an option. In addition, Sherry told Keith that initially the truck driver who'd pulled over to provide her with assistance had frightened her. She feared she was about to have to fight him off. Perhaps her strangest comments were in regards to the outcomes of the recent presidential election and World Series championship. After all she'd been through, it seems these items should have been the least of her concerns. Here we have a first look at the real photos of Sherry's injuries taken by police, some of which are stomach-churning and may be disturbing to some viewers. When she arrived at the hospital, doctors found a large hive-like rash covering her left arm. All manner of bruises, old, new, large, and small, across most of her body. A number of bruises on her face. Her lips were cracked. Her nose
What? Those don't look like cracked lips.
was broken, and there was a deep hole in her left forearm caused by a burn. Most horrifically, she'd been freshly but shoddily branded on her back with a Bible verse by some heated tool.
Okay, come on. She
She would
can't have done
allege
this
that her
herself.
captors had told her she was going to be sold to a police officer who would like the Exodus branding that had been applied to her shoulder. Perhaps this was the explanation as to why she was reluctant to speak with law enforcement upon her rescue. Overall, though disturbing, her injuries weren't life-threatening. Police, of course, had to ask her the question that everyone wanted to know. Where had Sherry been for the last 22 days? What she told them was completely unexpected. She reported to police that she had been kidnapped while running by two Spanish-speaking women who tortured her, barely fed her, and kept her chained in a closet inside their home. She also mentioned being transported by her captors in a dark vehicle, the make and model of which she didn't know. Sherry discussed her injuries and ailments with the hospital staff, including the doctor who was tasked with assessing her condition upon her arrival.
Sometimes if you are left enclosed for a while, you get kind of a heat rash here. And that's what that kind of looks like.
He explained the likely cause of the rash she'd sustained. According to Sherry, the women behind her imprisonment even made her wear an adult diaper. But that's the most detectives would get from Sherry that day. Sherry was bandaged up and returned home to her family. Meanwhile, the sheriff's office was abuzz, now convinced that they were now on the hunt for the two violent female abductors on the loose in California. 4 days later, detectives visited Sherry's residence to gather more from her about exactly where she'd been for the last 3 weeks.
Just ask you to tell us your information whenever we get going, and you just tell us everything as you want, and as we go, we'll ask some questions, clarify some stuff, and hopefully by the end of today, we have a very good idea of what's going on. I mean, so like Al says, you're in control. You need to take a break. Say when, and we'll go out there and all that kind of stuff, okay?
I feel like sometimes it's easier with my eyes closed.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can do anything you want, other than assault me or hit Kyle. You can hit Kyle all you want. I'm good with that. Just don't hit me.
Notice right off the bat how Sherry is sitting, very childlike, with her arms wrapped around her legs. She's exhibiting a lot of self-soothing yet juvenile behavior. It's very interesting that Sherry would ask to give her account with her eyes shut. When someone shields their face or eyes during a conversation...
What? No. Yeah, if you're already making...
as Sherry has just requested permission to do. This is a blocking behavior that is typically considered evasive, and it can indicate that the topic is uncomfortable or distressing to them.
Yeah, I don't like the body language
Alternatively, it
stuff
can also
either.
be a sign that they aren't confident in what they're saying, or even that they're lying. However, everyone handles trauma differently, and detectives must be mindful that a victim's individual needs are considered.
Also, my skin is still very itchy everywhere, so I apologize. Everything is itchy all everywhere.
No problem.
Sherry's alleged itchiness could potentially be her way of preemptively explaining future self-soothing behaviors she may soon be exhibiting.
Where would you like to start?
Hi.
Oh my god, it's like the Stephanie Lazarus. How she would make all those faces like when they would be questioning her.
We have no.
Guilty.
So on November
It's guilty.
2nd, 2016, what happened?
Did my usual routine, fed the chickens, cleaned the house, cleaned everything, just the usual.
Note her repetition of the word usual. She uses it to describe everything that was going on that day. By repeating that everything was usual, it keeps her from having to come up with details about what she actually did that morning.
Nothing, yeah. Text message my husband to come home for lunch, which, looking back is quite embarrassing. He's like, thanks for, that last text message. Honey, will you please come home to have sex with your wife for lunch?
So you went to daycare that morning, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about your drive to daycare.
No, ordinary, just the
Normal day?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the normal. Fed the kids breakfast. Dropped them off at Pandora's. Nothing unusual. It wasn't even a hard goodbye. Sometimes they're like, no, don't leave me.
And then when you left daycare, tell me about what you did after daycare.
Drove back home.
Okay.
Why is the narrator giving it away that she's lying? I don't think he is, so I feel like it's like he goes back and forth. Some things he says, it's like, oh, she's innocent, and then others, it's she's guilty.
Did my usual. Put on my boot shoes. Went out to the chicken coop. Cleaned the coop. And then just started my usual cleaning, everything. Wrapped up presents, got frustrated, changed into running clothes.
Okay.
I love so much that my husband knows my clothing so well that he knew what I was wearing.
And what were you wearing?
I was wearing that pink Nike hooded sweatshirt with the thumb holes that I hate. And the black tight, I don't want to say they're leggings because they're a little thicker than that, but black tight, stripy, not really stripy, just kind of black and white, speckled, we'll say. I want to be a better runner. I like to run, but it's difficult for me. So like getting back in the swing of it, I had an app that I would use that does, run this far, walk, run this far, walk, and it amps you up to like a 5K. Started running, saw the maybe there was 3 guys cutting a tree at what's his name's house? The guy that did our Toby. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Toby's house. No, everything's like this.
So you're about
painful right here. Sorry.
You're good. You're about to the mailboxes.
About to the mailboxes.
And these are the mailboxes near
at the end of the Sunrise Drive. My mailbox.
Sherry is exhibiting an array of grooming behaviors, further indicating the anxiety.
I guess it's not working for some people still. Refresh your chat, everybody.
She's feeling. The exact reasons behind this discomfort are not yet known, but will soon be uncovered. Keith places a water bottle near Sherry after she mentions that her lips are dry. It's impossible to know his intentions at this moment, but it could be a genuine act.
Who? No. It says 302. Oh man! Oh my God! Maybe. Oh, what? Maybe that's why it crashed.
Affectation of a model husband for the detectives.
Before the mailboxes, I start to slow down.
Oh, her husband's bringing her to get DNA.
I see a vehicle go past Sunrise Drive to maybe like the front 2 tires are past the actual street sign, and then it backs up. And I immediately have that feeling of, that was weird.
You're doing good, Sherry.
Come on, Sherry. We all know nothing happened for real.
It was a woman, and they back up
Traumatic memories are often difficult to recall and talk about. This is sometimes a result of dissociative amnesia, or the brain's proclivity to block out certain memories that it deems too distressing. This occurrence is a product of survival instinct and serves as a protective mechanism that can help the individual cope after a traumatic event. However, note that as Sherry started to talk about being kidnapped, her lips disappeared. This indicates that someone is experiencing a negative emotion.
What supposedly actually happened? She's saying that she was abducted by 2 women.
Disappearing lips does not always mean someone is being deceptive. It just suggests that they're likely feeling anxious.
It's frustrating because I know she was wearing a hat, but I can't see the color and I can't see her clothes.
Once again, we see Sherry exhibiting blocking behavior, and she buries her face in her knees.
No, we don't believe her, because so far from her husband's story and from a few of her friends, they think that maybe that was voluntary and she ran away on her own. Plus, she's been dubbed the real life Gone Girl. I don't know if this is true or not, but
Let's talk about
based on the movie.
I'll make a note.
She asked for help. I want to say it's maybe like a hey or something to get my attention.
Is that the passenger or the driver? Okay. Is the car on Sunrise right now, or is it still on Old Oregon Trail?
It's on Old Oregon Trail. I walked towards where the vehicle had backed up, but was still far enough away from it that, because I was still cautious. I had my phone in my right hand and my earbuds on, and I took out my left to hear her. And then she opened the door. And then I saw the small revolver. And I immediately ducked down. I crouched down.
I do that all the time. I say my left or right, but I'll be pointing the wrong way.
Ducking, crouching.
What's the big deal?
It was, okay, so across the road, phone's in my hand, earbud out.
As she describes her story, Sherry acts out certain details wrong. She's repeatedly said it was her left earbud she pulled out, but consistently acts out reaching for her right ear. It doesn't seem like a huge deal, but when a lot of these mismatches show up, detectives will become rightfully suspicious.
Towards the vehicle, this, not all the way down, squatting, not crouching, squatting. Laid my phone down.
Perhaps in an effort to remember the details of her harrowing story, Sherry jotted down some notes that were later found during the course of the investigation. They included information about the alleged captors. The smaller, younger one had longer, curly hair, no bangs, and hairy arms.
The smaller, younger one. Longer, curly hair, no bangs, lots of product. Thick, not fat. Strong. Hairy arms. Oh my goodness.
The bigger, older one had straight, thick, dark black hair and thick eyebrows.
I can't remember if she said, we don't want to hurt you, we don't want to kill you. I can't remember exactly if it's we don't want to something, we don't want to something, we don't want to something. And then
Oh my god, did she say that? She also said her captors are listening to annoying Mexican music? Oh my god. Thanks for the insight, Katafi. They said they didn't mention that part. Wow.
Oh, my phone down. As soon as I set it down, I was...
Wait, sorry, let me just... I want to go to my headphones. Here we go. Okay, we're back.
So mad because I couldn't call my husband, and as soon as I set it down, and then I turned and I pulled my hair out because I had to run away, and I didn't, and I should have, and I just, that's all
Do you want to come back up to the table?
And then I got up and went
Do you want to
this
come back to the
direction.
table?
And I can't remember. I can't remember lifting my leg. I can't remember the back door open.
So sometimes your brain says, we're not accessing that part right now because it's not time. We're not ready for it. So I've done it in the past with different cases where you look at it from a different point of view, okay? Because your mind, your body uses different parts of your brain to access different pieces of information, okay? Believe it or not, that's what happens. Going back to before you see the car, if there was a bird, a bluebird, a robin, whatever bird you pick, sitting on the fence line, sitting on the mailbox, sitting on the telephone line, or sitting in the tree, can you imagine in your mind, looking at it from the bluebird's perspective, what is that bluebird seeing going on?
Running to the mailboxes, cutting diagonally. I didn't cut diagonally until the vehicle stopped, backed up, and then stopped again. I stopped at the grassy area, squatted, pulled out my hair, had my hands up. That is it.
Does the bluebird see which side of the car you got in on?
The car didn't move after it stopped, so I would say that would be the passenger side.
But you don't know. Just
remember.
That's fine.
It seems that the basis of this trauma-informed technique is having the victim talk from the outside without engaging the emotions of the first-person perspective. This makes recounting the event easier and less traumatic.
Does the bluebird see which way the car goes? Or what's the car do next?
Yeah. It wasn't what I saw, it was what I felt. I was very nauseous.
Okay.
And cold.
Is the vehicle moving or stationary?
The vehicle was moving. It was windy.
Okay.
Windy roads make me nauseous.
Do you remember getting out of the car?
No.
You had an observation or a thought that the back window in the vehicle was large?
Long.
Long?
Yes.
Okay. Describe. What do you mean by that? I mean, it's one of those, duh, Brian. Describe that for me.
Not like a truck bed that's covered, like a SUV.
Okay.
But some SUVs are like shorter.
Right.
It was longer.
You're talking about from side to side?
Yes.
You're talking about the back, or if it
Not
is
the passenger door window. There was
Actual
another window
rear
past the passenger door window.
You and I are looking out Sunrise to Old Oregon Trail. Was the vehicle going this way?
Yep.
Okay.
And then backed up.
And then it backed up. So right now I'm pointing, that's northbound, and it backed up a little bit, then that's when you encounter.
Northbound's the side that's closest to Sunrise Drive, correct?
Correct.
Yes, then that's it. I'm very frustrated because if you're laying down in a vehicle, you would feel a U-turn, a acceleration, a braking. And I can't find that.
It's just not there yet.
Do you remember any music as you were driving around in the car?
Yes, mariachi music.
Okay.
Was it a station or like Pandora?
Like as in a radio station? Yeah. I want to say it was probably a radio station. I can't be sure, but did I hear any Pandora commercials? No.
Did you hear any normal commercials? So like if we're listening to a radio?
No, I didn't hear commercials. I didn't really hear, and I don't think I ever heard a complete song from start to finish either.
When she's describing this kidnapping event, she goes into a bit of a trance. She turns inward to imagine the scene, and it's
The Kevin checking in. Hi, Kevin. For the subby and Rainy, you. Thank you.
like she's telling a story.
And
She
Puppies make my heart happy. Thank you.
Doesn't really want to be interrupted. She's very detailed about the run, the phone, and soon the room she was kept in. But there are almost no details about the car, the kidnappers, or the kidnapping itself. She has what is known as a detail valley surrounding the kidnapping itself, mountains of details surrounding it, but very limited about the actual kidnapping.
I listened for that a lot in the house too. Like, was this a radio? Was it Pandora or
Since we've touched it twice, you mentioned the house twice or location where you remember. Can we talk about that? Start with you. Tell us.
What would you like? The description of the room? Would you like
Sure.
the sounds that I heard? Would you like what I think was there? What would you like?
What was the first thing you remember?
The first thing I remember was the zip ties on my hands. And then the clothing that was very big. It was baggy clothing. It was sweatpants and a sweatshirt. And I did not have socks, and I was very cold. And there was zip ties on my hands. And I didn't feel good. I couldn't stand up. I was very dizzy.
When you first had this in the sweatshirt stuff, is that the same stuff that you were found in the other day?
No.
How so?
Because they would change me.
Okay.
This conflicts with Sherry's story upon arrival at the hospital. You likely recall the recorded conversation between Sherry and the attending doctor.
Sometimes if you are left in clothes for a while, you get kind of a heat rash here. And that's what that kind of looks like. Along this arm here.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. Is that okay? Were you in the same clothes for a long period of time without bathing? Okay. That's probably what's going on there.
Because your carne asada at me. I'm waiting for more racist comments to come out from her.
There was a drawstring on the sweatpants. There was a drawstring on the sweatpants, and the other one didn't have a drawstring.
How many times do you think you were changed? Or had to change of clothes? Obviously at least twice, so it's very...
Yeah, I think maybe one more time.
Did it seem like the clothes were new? Or old?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
The sweatshirt, the top was changed more because I was trying to manipulate her.
My skin was like on fire. It was really itchy everywhere, and I started this rash that's up in here. It was starting to like swell, starting to swell so bad that it was like putting pressure on my arm. So I was trying to manipulate them. I need some kind of medicine. Like, look at my skin. You need to wash me. You need to give me medicine. You need to get me something. And I was using that, and it was so itchy. So they would argue about washing my clothes. And I was able to take two showers. They weren't really, if you call them a shower. It was get in, rinse water down your back, and get out. But she let me wash my underpants in the shower.
Were you able to see at that time, or were you still had a bag over your
No,
head?
I could see. Okay. And that was when I was trying, it was always look down. Don't look at us, look down.
Marissa, thank you for the gifted.
I was never allowed to look up. The first day with the zip ties, getting out of them, because they were behind my back. So I pulled them. I did one of these moves. And that's what this scar right there is from, is the very beginning when I got them off. And I bit them because Keith and I have even tried this move before, the whole, like power through it and bust it. Mm-hmm. And I tried that and was unsuccessful. And it cut right here. And I was like, I remember doing this with Keith. How the F do I get these off? And I tried that several times, and I tried the power bust it down, and that's where it cut in right there. And then I was like, I can't bust through them, so then I just chewed it off, and I cut my lip right here, and then I busted them. And then it was like I tried the door. I could tell that the door had a deadbolt at the top, so I couldn't open
She's
the
lying, right? She has to be lying.
door. And then they came in, and that's all I remember from that experience. No, there's something else. There's something else before.
Be right back. I'm
I
gonna go to
tried
the bathroom. I'm
door.
still listening.
There's something else before I tried the door.
The windows?
Sherry appears to remember some details vividly, such as how exactly she got a scar on her wrist from the zip ties. However, she's unable to recall other details, like any physical description of her kidnappers. When the person being interviewed appears to have a memory of extremes, meaning they either have an unusually good memory of events that happened months ago, or they can't remember recent events, it can be a possible red flag for deception.
After I broke the zip ties, there was boards on the windows, and I yanked that fucker out of the wall super quick, and that's what got her in the room, was that noise. She came in, and then it was lights out.
What do you mean it was lights out?
I can't remember if I was hit with something, if I was stuck with something, and that's what I was asking too. If I was tased, wouldn't I remember? Or would there be a scar? Would there be a mark? Would there be a mark?
It just depends if the probes made skin contact. What about the bathroom? What's that look like?
I tried.
Rewind. What did?
Tased, wouldn't I remember? Or if I was hit with something, if I was stuck with something, and that's what I was asking too. If I was tased, wouldn't I remember? Or would there be a scar? Would there be a mark? Would there be a mark?
It just depends if the probes made skin contact. What about the bathroom? What's that look like?
I tried to hit her with something in the bathroom.
You guys think she's just making this all up, like, as she goes along? She had to have come up with it beforehand so she could get her story straight.
And then the next time I went in the bathroom, everything was gone. The mirror was gone. The towel rack was gone. And you could hear, like if you put your head to the wall, because I did that often, you could hear very easily. And the insulation, it was freezing all the time. It was cold all the time. And there was a fireplace. I could smell the fireplace, and I could hear that creaky, when you move the handle to open the fireplace, it was that creaky.
A minute ago you said when I was on the cable, were you tethered to a cable?
There was a chain around my waist.
Okay.
The cable, I could reach all the way to the bed. Couldn't reach the door. Couldn't reach the window. At all times, there was a bucket in the closet. That's what I used to go to the bathroom in. There was a dresser, but after I ripped this up when I woke up, it was no longer there.
Where was the dresser the first day you were there?
Here.
Was it tall, like a man's dresser, or like a short, long, like a woman's dresser?
Two dark colored 2 drawers.
Okay, so more like nightstands.
Yeah, more like that, I would say.
I'm still stuck on the caller saying she came from her boyfriend's house and then her cutting him off. That's interesting. I didn't think anything of that. I thought maybe the caller just messed up and like confused the situation and then corrected himself really quick.
1, not 2, just 1.
Was the mattress directly on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember anything in this area?
No.
Was the cable affixed to the wall and like the cable was loose?
The cable was affixed to a pole that went up into the ceiling.
Okay. So we have this pole that was anchored to the roof somewhere.
Correct.
She was missing for 22
What was on
days.
the pole?
The shelves that I couldn't get out. They were like super bolted in. Like they'd added more stuff to it.
Okay.
To not get them, because the first day when I broke my fingernails, it was trying to get the screws, trying to undo the screws.
And that was like on these sides?
And yes, and trying to get to where the drywall was, because there was drywall but I couldn't. And trying to move that pole, but I couldn't move the pole. The pole, too, it wasn't just like a pole. It was like, almost. It's not quite rebar. It was, okay, so think of if you had a screw that was big and long and you tried to grab it, it would like cut your fingers almost. Is that making any sense? Like
lag bolt.
He's being oddly specific for someone who's
I
lying.
don't know what that is.
It's a big screw.
Yeah.
You described it
Or
like
for someone who isn't lying.
it's a
Is
large
what she's trying to portray.
wood screw that kind of similar to like rebar, but it's for
Yeah,
It
it
would
wasn't very
be
thick.
huge. No.
It wasn't like I could grab it with both hands. It wasn't thick enough that I had to do this. It was,
that you put it in your hands.
yes,
Go like
but I couldn't grab it. Like those were
hurting
some
your
of the
hand?
first injuries that I had was trying to rip the stupid thing out, and I made my hands bleed a lot. That there was just it wouldn't give at all.
What's that
Does
noise
it-
in the back?
That there was just it
Oh, her
wouldn't
kids
give.
maybe.
It wouldn't give at all.
Does it go through the shelf?
Yes.
Okay, so if this is the shelf,
That's if I could have gotten the shelf off, I could have gotten out because I could have pulled the cable just straight off of it.
When Sherry slams her hands down on the table for emphasis, the emphasis is severely delayed, indicating a mismatch between her thoughts and her speech. It's possible that she has so many things going on in her mind as she's remembering this traumatic event that she can't keep up. However, it's also possible that Sherry is being deceptive about her attempts to escape.
It was the shelf that I couldn't get off.
Since the interview had been going on for a few hours at that point, it was agreed that they would call it a day and let Sherry rest. Detectives returned to her residence the following morning to continue
What the hell? That's a decoration in our house, a whole ass tree.
the questioning.
but as far as getting started today, I don't know if yesterday jogged some more memories or if there's things you want to add. But basically, we can just start with, I have a note here that we never touched the topic of your hair being cut. That's something we can talk about now.
I'm not sure what led up to it, but the
Rich people are weird. Are they rich? Did they? Well, they said her husband works at Best Buy. That was his alibi, or how he was cleared. Did they mention what she does?
cable that was where the cable was attached at the top, anytime you made a movement or moved it, it made a really loud noise. So when I would make noise, they would rush in to the room. I think that's why. I don't think there was anything else because there wasn't anything in the trash can. So it was. I don't feel like it was time for that. Maybe I want to say it was just because there was a noise. They said something in Spanish to each other. The other one was outside the room. I was hit here on the shoulder, and then it was a yank backwards.
Gotcha.
A yank backwards. I feel like it happened really fast, but not. I don't know.
That's fine.
One thing to keep in mind while you listen to Sherry's story is that deceptive statements tend to contain fewer unique words and more repeating words than truthful statements.
Yank backwards.
Gotcha.
Yank backwards.
When you lie well, you tend to rely on prefabricated statements that are borrowed from previous stories of your experiences or things you've seen. That way, you sound more natural and believable.
I was down. She was over me, had it in her hand, and then I felt it here. Like I felt like that blunt edge because she had cut it above my hair tie. Felt it here, and she said, I'm going to send it to your mother, or I'm going to send this to your mother. I'm going to send it to your mother. I can't remember exactly, but I'm going to your mother. When she was cutting it, it was very upsetting. And then she said that, and I kind of went, and it was one of those moments where it was emotional for me that she was cutting my hair. And I feel like her saying that almost pulled me back into survival mode, I guess. It also made me feel like she didn't know me.
Keith presses onto his face, referred to as facial distortion, then keeps his hand over his face for a second. These are typically signs of discomfort. Perhaps he's feeling unsettled at the description of his wife's torture, but there is an alternative theory that maybe he's caught onto something peculiar in his wife's story. Sherry goes from having a hard time remembering the circumstances of having her hair cut to suddenly reciting nearly word for word what was said to her. She described having her hair forcibly chopped as a highly memorable event, as it might be for anyone. Thus, it's quite unusual that Sherry would have difficulties recounting it. These mental blackouts seem to be following a particular pattern that'll be of interest to detectives later down the road. As well, she's steepling her hands as she speaks here, which is an indication that talking about this part of cutting her hair makes her feel in control, perhaps because it's something she's comfortable sharing the details about.
Do you recall what they used to cut your hair?
I didn't see anything. I never saw anything.
Do you hear any sounds? Like scissors,
clipping?
like the scissors would make?
Yeah.
Or anything like that? And if you don't know, if you can't think about it,
I can't. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
Like whether it was like a sniffing sound or just a. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
Did either, so let's say during they were hitting or being violent towards you, is there any time that one of the females would try to stop the other one?
Yes.
I'm just curious what happened.
Yes, this is because I know the bigger.
We know she's lying
Of
about
this
all of
from
this.
Sherry before in private. However, he seems somewhat tuned out from the conversation, having been zoned out on his phone several times through the interview. A more typical response would be to look at Sherry and be fully engaged in the interview process.
That's true.
Or even demonstrate support in this extremely painful moment by sitting closer to her or patting her back. Keith's emotional disconnection could possibly be the result of antisocial or narcissistic traits. Or perhaps these details are
How are they just going to classify him like that based on something so small?
simply painful for him to hear, as they're reflective of the idea that he couldn't protect her, and so he's distracting himself from listening closely.
What'd you eat? Or what'd they give you to eat?
What's it called again, babe? I keep forgetting the name of that. Cream of wheat. But it was like dry, like barely mixed. And rice, tortillas. One day I got 2 apples, a cracker, and sometimes it was like scraps.
Well, see, he is paying attention though because
Just like
he
the
did
fat off
answer
of
that quickly.
a piece of meat or something, like they had just scraped it off of a plate.
And can we check if the narrator has BPD?
Did you eat regularly or just sporadically? Or did they bring you food? Was it?
No, it was maybe once a day.
I just want to know what happened.
Read the books I read to my children. I can hear my husband.
Their house does seem kind of fancy, actually. Like, look at. I mean, also, I'm not fazed by what she's saying because clearly she's lying. We all know this, but this right here, this setup, is like very rustic, but like a real rustic, not decoration rustic.
Christmas carols and the random jingles he would sing in our kitchen.
Okay.
Then I didn't like being in the closet.
This initial expression, no shifting in his seat to indicate discomfort, nothing at all. In fact, throughout the majority of her story, Keith comes across as almost bored. Again, it's possible he's been desensitized to this information after hearing it multiple times.
That's what I think.
Though that theory is unlikely.
Oh.
Even if that were the case, it's still unusual that he doesn't show any sort of response to what he's hearing. A profound lack of empathy on his part, or a healthy bit of skepticism.
I don't remember if we didn't talk about history about your nose and how that occurred.
I was woken.
Oh, did you guys see it? She had like a big bump on her nose, like over here.
And I can't remember if it was like.
So how did this happen though? She's making all of this up. Like, did she hurt herself like that? That'd be so hard to just like give yourself a punch or something.
This, or if it was like that. But I was woken up by it.
So
So you were sleeping?
Correct, on the bed. I was told to change. There was already clothing on the bed. I felt so dizzy. My ears were ringing. When I tried to put the sweatpants on, it fell over.
Oh, wow. You say, I'm assuming it was bleeding. How did you clean that up?
It didn't bleed very much. Didn't bleed, it really didn't bleed very much.
Did any of that end up on the walls or on the floor? Or,
I would assume so. It had to have been on the floor because I set the sweater down. It wasn't profusely bleeding, so I wouldn't say that it was dripping.
He's posting too.
I'm going to go through a list of some things, and it's going to require hearing. So however you want to access that part of your brain. Usually when I try to hear something, I close my eyes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, no's, I don't knows are all fine answers.
Okay.
Farm animals?
No.
Equipment?
He's falling asleep now.
Farm equipment?
No.
Buses?
No.
Train?
No.
Telephone?
No.
Now that you're listening, do you recall any other sounds that I haven't?
The fireplace.
That's a good tactic.
The creak, the flushing of a toilet, the
ask.
TV.
It's interesting to note here that Sherry only uses larger illustrators as she's briefly describing the area where she was released. People typically use illustrators while they're talking, so it's actually a red flag that Sherry is so reserved with her body language. She remains balled up and with her hands in most of the time. This lack of movement is most often seen in individuals who are being deceptive, as their brain is in overdrive.
Well, is she or is she not?
The speed with which she's declining each prompt has an air of dismissiveness. She's taking little to no time to think back on the proposed sounds. Up to this point, Sherry realistically has revealed little to no information that can narrow down the search for her kidnappers. But the detectives very patiently carry on.
Hearing a barking dog?
No.
Oh man, also these detectives, like how thorough they're being. If at the end of all of this, she was making it up and it was all faked and staged and all of that, I would be so pissed. Wet Melons! Hey, we got Wet Melons in the chat. We are watching the real... I keep saying that. I don't know if that's actually the case, because at this point, I really don't know what to think. But this case has been dubbed The Real Life Gone Girl, which is a movie about a lady who fakes her abduction. And so that's kind of the idea we're getting with this lady here, who was recently abducted for 22 days. And now the detectives are thoroughly investigating or questioning to find the captors. And her husband just like totally checked out at this point. But before this, her husband and her friends who spoke to the cop, they all said that they think that this is like voluntary. She was not kidnapped and she ran away on her own.
Did on the last day. That's scary.
What do you mean?
On the road near when I was trying to go to the.
Talk about it.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about that.
I interrupted you and talked over you and didn't hear you. Sorry.
Let's talk about that. Since it's there in your mind.
The barking dog was when I was trying to figure out how to get into. Can I ask you what was that?
Reports of this case is insane. That's what I'm seeing too, but I don't know. It's like so far it just seems like very predictable.
Is it a shipping yard? Is it a junkyard? What
I think
was
she's
that?
guilty.
Fenced-in area next to the freeway.
Well, there's two. There's like a lumber yard and there's like a propane yard.
Okay, there was I want to say like a mod.
Freeway.
I'm sorry, I just need to know.
Ran on top of the freeway. It was very difficult because my feet were very cold.
Her socks actually look pretty clean.
My ankles were very wobbly.
Mm-hmm.
I was very dizzy. I was very, I'm going to say short of breath, but short of breath from the screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And then ran and to the 911, call 911.
Okay, here.
So, talking with Kyle, but there was some that you recall.
Yes, he's still texting. You guys, he must have heard this over and over and like a million times already. Can we blame him?
I'm trying to remember whether the car pulled over or spun around. I don't remember feeling any of that. I remember feeling and hearing the clipping, and then get out and falling out of the vehicle. I don't remember if she touched me, if she grabbed me, if she pulled me. I remember falling. It didn't feel great.
So one of your hands is free, and if I remember, it's your right hand.
Okay, her husband really, like, the way he's acting right now, it's like he just doesn't believe her. And he knows she just ran away, and he feels like all of this is lies.
Right.
How did that become free?
There was a clipping noise. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if there was the cable.
He's taking notes now.
I didn't hear like the clicking noise that like handcuffs would make, certainly. I feel like it may have been another cable.
What do you guys think he was marking up?
Here, under here.
So how long was your hands to your waist? Was that something new?
Oh, that was new.
Oh.
Oh, you mean the zip tie?
Yeah, the zip tie to
This
your...
was new. I don't remember this being clipped
Grocery
on.
list?
I've been searching my brain
Divorce attorney?
for that. I don't remember the metal pieces being put on, and that is very frustrating because that's something that I should remember.
So I have a picture of your legs that I want to show you. I want to see if you recall being kicked or stomped. I'm looking at your right shin area.
When needing to lean in closer to the detectives, Sherry engages in a significant amount of shifting her clothes and other grooming behaviors. In addition, her blinking rate increases. Nervousness often triggers a heightened level of physiological arousal, which can manifest as fidgeting or other subconscious behaviors. Blinking excessively might be a result of this heightened state. Blinking
It doesn't look like she's blinking
helps to
excessively.
keep the surface of the eye moist and lubricated. When you're nervous, your body's stress response can cause changes in tear production and evaporation rates. Blinking more frequently can help to replenish the tear film and maintain eye comfort.
Do you remember anything about being injured there specifically? In this area here on your shin?
Not specifically, no. I feel like every interaction, something's hurt.
Gotcha. But you do recall being kicked or
Yes.
stomped on,
Hit with objects, kicked, stomped on, yes.
slapped, punched,
Yes.
whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Never slapped.
Okay.
I feel like I have a good enough sense on how the brand occurred. So I don't need I don't need
So they did all of that to her, including branding her, but they just let her
the
go?
play-by-play. I just have a couple of questions if you're okay with that.
Yes. Let's get it over with.
So obviously there's each lettering to it. Was it all at once or was it several different?
They're separate. It was a long page.
And was that in one extended time period or was it over multiple days? Or
All done in one extended time period.
and I know that the older one
Or something, she was the one.
Okay.
Remember? No, I'm just trying to remember, was there?
Okay.
No.
You don't recall ever being in the back of a pickup truck.
No.
And that's stupid.
That's
Brian,
okay.
Brian, you're annoying the shit.
That's okay.
But it's not, this isn't me.
I
Okay?
understand.
I'm addressing the masses.
The detective isn't phrasing these questions in the most optimal way. By beginning the questions with "you don't recall," he's using an
He's
unnecessary
onto
memory
her.
modifier, which effectively weakens the inquiry. Rephrasing the question to be more direct, such as asking, "Did you physically go into a store?" would generally yield a more meaningful answer.
When you physically left that residence or
You guys know who'd be so good at this? Like interrogation tactics? AB. Because he is so good at reading people. I hate it. We were playing this game called Trouble Brewing with my family. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. Apparently it's still like a newer game or whatever, but it's kind of like Mafia. And he gets everyone all the time. He always knows who's the bad person. And it's so annoying because one time there was one round where it was me and my niece, Thalia. And he got it just like that, just after talking to us for like a minute. He's like, "It's Lena." And I'm like, oh my God, I've never been so disappointed in him before in my life. I was like, I can't believe he's actually doing this to me. Like, I know we're on different teams, but how could you do this to me? I I was stunned, but it was so annoying how fast, like, he knew I was lying too.
Building that you were in.
Okay.
And you got outside to
He
the
called
steps.
it from the beginning. But yeah, no, he's so good at that game and like reading people, or like I'll be talking to him, but meanwhile he's able to pay attention to all the other side conversations in the room. He'll be like, oh, this person just said this. He's like, wait, this person just said. I'm like, how'd you even hear that? Or how'd you even know, like, notice that they're talking to each other? And I don't know. It's just like,
You went through a doorway.
oh my God, Derek! Thank you so much for the gifted. Hold the phone. There is no, what's it called? No cannon, though. That is so weird. Thank you so much for the gift. Why the hell was that so delayed? Avi, are you here? Oh my God, no, never mind. It's okay. What the hell? Her reactions are great. Your arms went flying. Oh my God, did anyone clip that? I want to see. That is so weird. Why was it so delayed? At first, at least it's working though. I thought for a second it's not working. Man, that really got me. Lena went through a doorway. Okay, let's see this. Thank you so much for the gift. Much for the gift. Oh my goodness. How is that even possible? Look, I know it's supposed to be. Oh my God. That is so ugly. Okay. Yeah, that really was a surprise can. But anyways, Derek, thank you again.
To the left,
To the
to
doorway.
my knowledge. Went out of the doorway and stumbled down to the stairs, and then I want to say I'm leaning towards turning left.
Okay. Was the door swinging inward or outward?
I don't know.
The blog that surfaced from a while back about the Hispanics and some thoughts or comments that people are spinning up.
Just tell me what happened.
Did this? You wrote some. I'm assuming. Did you write the blog?
No.
How did the blog get written or posted under your?
Oh, what? Okay, this is
so
something
the best way
important
to
for
deal
me.
with it is to deal with it on the front end, officially. So that way we can put it to bed. Obviously, people are drawing the conclusions that you're reporting to Hispanics. Did this? You wrote some. I'm assuming. Did you write the blog?
No.
How did the blog get written or posted under your name? Have any idea?
No, I have no idea.
This is the blog post the detective's referring to. The author of the report is cited as Sherry Graff, Sherry's maiden name. It was a page-long report published to a website where a girl growing up in Shasta Lake, California, the same place Sherry grew up, describes being constantly harassed and bullied by Hispanic
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
kids for being drug-free, white, and proud of her blood and heritage. The author recounts the night at one of her volleyball games.
Okay, so if the detectives are already aware of this blog post of hers, they have to know she's lying from the beginning. And then she's just a racist. Like, this is awful.
Where a group of Latina girls threw ice and made Hitler salutes at her father. When the author confronted the girls, one supposedly attacked her, and the author proceeded to beat her up badly, breaking her nose and splitting her eyebrow. Weeks later, the
She's
author...
so stupid. How could she do this? And okay, here I am thinking, oh, she's very strategic, and to get it, or to like plan this whole thing out, you have to be smart, right? No, I guess not.
author was closing down her family's business for the day when 3 Latino guys and 5 girls rushed in and jumped her, including the girl she'd beaten up weeks prior. However, the author fought back valiantly until eventually the attackers saw they couldn't defeat her, so they all suddenly ran out the door. The courageous tale ends with the author limping 9
Courageous
blocks
tale.
home with a fractured leg,
Oh my
but
goodness.
living to fight another day. One can clearly see how this might raise suspicion given the circumstances of Sherry's kidnapping. However, Sherry seems to have a simple enough explanation. It wasn't her.
But the post, yeah, obviously, it's showing up on this skinhead website. Cute. But it
Didn't people say my head's shaved now too? Sorry.
can't hear all the noise. But it originates from a MySpace account. We call them blogs now, but it's not. It originates from a MySpace account.
Wait, what is that's a thing? That's a skinhead website? Is that like Tumblr or something? I don't know what they mean by that.
Have you ever had a MySpace account?
Not that I can remember. I mean, that's
It's old school.
yeah.
Oh my god, you guys! This whole time we're saying her husband is being strangely calm. He's so checked out. Blah blah blah. The title of this video: husband loses it after discovering why his wife disappeared. So at some point in this video, we're gonna see Keith lose it.
I mean, even the Facebook page that I had was for a very short period of time. It's not for a very long period of time.
Prior
Oh, okay, Sydney. Thank you. I didn't know that.
to all this stuff, have you guys ever seen that blog before? Or heard of it?
I've seen
You
it.
know which one I'm referring to, right? The one about the
I
Latino was
never-
behind her
I
dad,
never-
giving her shit,
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
I've seen something similar to that.
The one that is out there now, no. When we had found it, I contacted a lawyer.
Okay, I'm
about
just waiting for
getting it
Keith's
removed.
reaction now.
And they had discussed, this is
Finding out who created it.
yes, this needs to be removed.
TikTok. I
It's
love you
obviously
guys.
not
Thanks
me,
for watching.
and
I am on.
he couldn't get anywhere with getting it removed.
So the Keep Walking article, that's the one that's been focused and recently, that is similar to a past thing that you guys dealt with.
Correct.
And then this past one, there's a picture of what? Of what?
There's a photo of her when she was very, very young. And it's like she's looking up in the air.
It was like a picture from like the youth conferences, like the church youth conferences that I used to do and stuff. It's cool.
But it is a true picture, not something that somebody manipulated. It's an old picture that somebody obviously got hold
It
of.
was like from like my websites from the church stuff that I used to do.
Okay.
It was like from like almost like I don't want to say a group photo, but it was from a function that I had participated in.
Bottom line, it's even more elaborate now, it appears. I don't remember it because it's so
Well,
long
people
ago.
are trying to spin it off as if this is the catalyst for what happened to you.
No, and
I'm trying to shut
I mean,
that
a
down.
week before that, I did it for the money, I think. I'll address
Oh,
this.
okay.
Yeah. So
That's why we're here. Hey,
Yeah.
remember yesterday we talked about some things that were going to be hard?
Yeah.
And
Like it-
going to irritate
Well,
you?
this is where
And
we
that's
come in
where
about
this
the
is
media
hard
as a
for
beast,
me
and
because
I have to deal with all this dumb thing. But
So
500 tips.
yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't.
Right, you got
You know
10.
what? I
Yeah.
wasn't a perfect person before this, and that's
But what do you
all
mean
this
by
crap,
that?
you
So
know?
what do you mean by that?
Is it coming?
I skipped school and,
Ran away?
did dumb kid stuff. And I had a really, really relationship with my parents. Excuse my vulgar language. And I lived at the Heart Center for a long time.
Okay.
I stayed in my high school gym at some
You guys,
times. I mean, it.
The interview came to a close, and armed with information from the victim herself, an army of federal and state agents officially commenced the search for the pair of kidnappers. Everyone waited eagerly for a conclusion to this story, but for 4 whole years, authorities would make no
Whoa, 4 years.
important discoveries. They were only able to pick up bits and pieces of relevant information, such as this surveillance video taken from a Kingdom Hall, which sat in the area where Sherry had been released by her captors.
What is
In
it?
this eerie footage, we see Sherry creep into the left side of the frame, just minutes after being let go. She appears to be looking around in a desperate attempt to get her bearings. Then she runs across the parking lot and into the darkness, disappearing out of sight. Over the years that the investigation was active, the Papinis regularly stayed in communication with the sheriff's office. Sherry received $30,000 in victim
Whoa.
compensation funds from the California government for psychiatric care. And with the love and support of family and friends, she was able to reassimilate back into normal life after her ordeal. No one questioned Sherry about her kidnapping, except Keith, who tried to help her remember details. There was no reason to. Everyone, the detectives included, only wanted to help her. That's exactly what makes this next part so unsettling.
Okay, I'm using the bathroom. I'll be right back.
There
I'll
was
be right a little.
assimilate
Don't go
back
anywhere. I'll
into
be right back.
normal life after her or funds from the California government for psychiatric care. And with the love and support of family and friends, she was able to reassimilate back into normal life after her ordeal. No one questioned Sherry about her kidnapping, except Keith, who tried to help her remember details. There was no reason to. Everyone, the detectives included, only wanted to help her. That's exactly what makes this next part so unsettling. After a long, painful wait, there was a miraculous break in the case the detectives could have expected 4 years prior. Thanks to recent advances in DNA forensic science, detectives are sitting
No, I heard. So at this point, they said it's been 4 years, and she mostly assimilated back into her normal life with her friends and family. And I heard it. I heard
front of
it.
Sherry again in 2020.
Until this point, something happens here. Okay.
This time with the case broken wide open.
So obviously it's been a long road, incredibly long road. But some stuff's come up. So
She looks really skinny, huh? Like she lost a lot of weight, maybe.
we've always had the DNA out there in the world.
Sorry, Tom, before we get too far, obviously,
yeah.
just like always, thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
Yeah.
As always, your presence here is voluntary.
Yeah.
You can go at any time, and all we want is truthful statements because it's a crime to lie to federal officers.
Wow, yeah.
So there's
Oh my god, okay. This seems so good. Okay, it's an hour and 40 minutes into the video, and we just heard a long ass story from her husband, and then like a twice as long ass story from her with all these stupid lies and stupid details, and I guess it all boils down to this.
There's been DNA out there, and we've done test after testing. We've gone out to like the Parabon, which is a private company who does all like the genetics, and we've just hit wall after wall after wall. But recently, we found a familia DNA hit. So what that does, it just tells us it came from a certain person. So like the mother or the father or a son or an uncle or however that is, it just hits that like somewhere in this family tree is where the DNA comes from.
Okay.
So with that, we open up the investigation. We go into who could it be within the family. So once we started opening up those doors and looking through the family members and just trying to see Facebook stalking them, criminal histories, just that normal investigation that we do once we start looking into things, we started finding some interesting things.
Okay.
So one of the things that came out to us, is there anything in there that looks
Of interest or notable?
When DNA testing is mentioned, Sherry scoots her chair closer to Keith's. She may be feeling uneasy and seeking her husband's support. It appears that she doesn't want to face whatever news the detectives have alone. Sherry is sitting remarkably still as she listens to the detective. She may be experiencing a freeze response, the ceasing of all movement and sound, which happens when the mind perceives an immediate threat. It's expected that she would feel anxious in such a pivotal moment, but her body language is indicating that something is wrong.
So the picture's a little grained out. So
To me, I see a table there that somewhat looks like something you've described to me in the past, and then I see wood paneling. Talking about the room.
Hey, Sarah, thank you for the gifted. what is about to happen here? What are they looking at? But honestly, right now, what the narrator is saying, what he's assuming based on her movement stuff, these I agree with.
Yeah, we noted both of those things back in August 2017. Is when we spoke with you about, and you showed us this picture of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that, Sherry?
Yeah, I do.
And so when we were trolling through this, Facebook page, we saw just the edge of that table.
Yeah.
Denise got it, in fact.
Oh, cool.
Denise said, "Hey, look at this table." And I was like, "Oh wait, you're right."
Yeah.
And it has the wood paneling.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, well, where was that photo taken, right? And so we were trying to figure that out.
So, okay.
So that's led us obviously now to obviously this Facebook page has a person. It's got like people tagged into it, so it has, so Peter has a.
But that's still a valid memory, right? Is that this was the table?
Yeah.
A table like this was the table you were on when you were branded?
And we've been talking about that a lot because so many memories.
Yeah, I'm nervous too. I don't know what to expect. Also, Caesar, thank you for 2 more gifted.
Memories are so faded now.
It's been a long time.
It's been a really long time. So were you able to find like where that house is?
Yes.
And what? Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So if you look at this closet,
It's a little bit different, but it's pretty. Excuse my language. It's pretty fucking similar. But it's different.
you said it looks very similar. What's similar?
This is what I'm remembering, that feeling, grabbing
When did she get busted?
and feeling that feeling. But this part is different. This part is different. That definitely
So you're
doesn't
saying
look
this
the
metal
same.
part, it looks the same as what you remember, but this piece right here,
This part doesn't look the same.
the window. With the wood paneling. Trying to ignore the TV and stuff. I don't think you had a TV with you, right?
Definitely not.
While a considerable amount of time has passed, so the initial trauma might have abated somewhat, it's still unusual that Sherry is laughing here. It is possible that the laughter is an attempt to lighten the mood or memories, or it may also be more of a nervous response, not knowing what information the detectives are about to confront her with.
What am I looking for the window? Do you want to know if it's like the same height?
What are they doing? Just do it. Just spill it on her. Also, what does it mean, like, if she confesses at this point? Because I see someone said that they're giving her a chance to confess, but it's like, does that lessen her sentence at all? I mean, either way, she's going to be guilty of, like, wasting all of these resources on nothing on this investigation. This fake investigation. 4 years. That is insane that people were working on this.
Well, the type of window, the wall itself, anything from these photos that make you believe that this was where you were being held.
I feel like
No, this one I won't fast forward. Don't worry. This I'm here for this.
this wood paneling is too thick, but I mean,
You mean this
there
way?
was wood paneling, but I can't remember something like that being there, and I don't remember.
So one of the things that we always noted in the bathroom description is just the weird layout of the bathroom. So do you remember the layout of the bathroom?
Yes. Well,
Let's talk about the description, best description, and then we'll start showing some
but
pictures.
there's door, toilet, sink, tub. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So you walk in the door, first there's a toilet.
Yes.
On the
Right on which side?
If I'm.
She's a
It's
word
been a while.
rule with just in general.
I am. I don't know.
But whatever, you walk in the door, on one left or right, you have a toilet, then,
I want to say. What? I'm sorry.
that's fine.
I want to say toilet on the left.
Okay. If we could go back to the closet really quick though, I remember when you were talking about being chained into the closet and trying to figure out a way to get loose. You talked about working on a screw, right?
Uh-huh.
And what happened to that screw when you were done with it?
I dug a hole in the wall and poked it into the wall.
Okay. Because this is It's an interesting photo as well.
I want to see the photos.
It's in the closet?
That's in the closet.
No, it was drywall.
It was into the drywall.
It was into drywall, but
By the electric plug, if I remember
yeah.
Okay. So maybe not that one.
He still believes her at this point.
So we're showing you all of this because ultimately this is the house that you're at. We talked to the people who live there. We found the house. We found who was involved. We talked to who was involved. We talked to family who.
Why am I so nervous? Like it's happening to me. Like I'm the one who's gonna get exposed right now. I'm so invested in this.
Who knows that you were there, and talked to a couple people or talked to one guy
Oh, poor
who
Keith.
did see you during this event. Unfortunately, there's a lot of truths. There's a lot of things that were said that we have always confirmed. That we've always said. There's a lot of truths, and then there's the
Just spit it out. Just spit it out.
unknowns. Like one of the simple ones, like, well, this description of the bathroom is just weird. Like that was like an argument in all of our offices where we were sitting there like this part's weird. But then we find a house with it. Then the all thread through the thing, that's just
What is he even saying right now? What is he saying? I feel like he's repeating the same thing over and over.
that's just weird.
Keith appears to be outwardly celebrating their victory, ecstatic that his wife's captors have finally been caught after so many years. Sherry, on the other hand, seems significantly less thrilled by the news. She remains motionless and fixed on the officer for a few seconds, likely another freeze response. When she comes to, she appears to motion for her husband to calm down. The fact that he felt the need to apologize for reacting appropriately may be another important look into their relationship dynamic. It alludes to the idea that he isn't confident in the validity of his feelings, and neither of them are considering the trauma and pain he also went through when she disappeared.
So I think with that being said, some choices and some decisions ultimately changed the original path of what happened. So we'd like to talk to you more about those things, and we can do it with Keith here, or we can ask Keith to leave. It's whatever you're comfortable with, so we can break down.
That's it. I'm sorry. Okay, so now that's it. She knows what's up now. And they're like, I know, and you know that we know. So how do you want to go about this? That's nice of them. That's courteous. To say, do you want Keith here or not?
Some of the problems. If you want Keith here, all we want is to have the truth. All we want is to be able to tell the truth. That's all we've ever wanted from day one. We went
From
we
day
talked
one,
for hours.
we spent 4 years of our lives on this Sherry. So thank you. All that wasted time we could have been spending with our wives and our children.
We've been there. We've done all these different things, waiting for something, waiting for it to break, waiting for us to leak something to hear. Because the DNA came back, like I said, to a specific person. That specific person told us very specific things. His family then told us specific things.
The tension is so thick, you could cut it.
Yeah!
What must Sherry be feeling right now? Fear, desperation, despair.
Oh my God.
Certainly, Keith's stomach is in knots as he registers that his wife had actually been with a man during the time she was gone.
It just wait, okay. When he said he and his oh my God, I was thinking it's like her captor was a male and not a male. Like, and then she lied. Oh! Great timing, Ash. Great time. Thank But thank you for the gifted. Okay, when they said he, I thought like her captor was male. Like, oh, so that's one detail she lied about. But no, she was cheating the whole time. She was away with a guy romantically. Oh my goodness.
Had Sherry run away with another guy? Had someone forced themselves on his wife? Was this another repressed memory that she'd forgotten to mention? Or
Yes. Oh my God, the 911 caller was right. Oh my God. It all makes sense now.
maybe Keith always knew. His nonverbal communication over the course of the at-home interview communicated that something was amiss. Perhaps he'd had an inkling early on that the circumstances were suspicious. Notice also that she's leaning towards Keith here to get support and encouragement. This nonverbal language is very different from the initial interviews. Keith
Yeah.
presumably knows his wife better than most and likely could tell where her story became fishy.
So we can step out of the room, let you guys talk, because I don't know what information I'm going to do, if it's life-changing news or if it's, oh yeah, everything's fine. I just don't know what it is. We'll be right back.
The truth is fast approaching, and while Keith is ready for answers, Sherry makes one last desperate effort to wiggle her way out of the situation.
I don't want them to find her. I don't want her to be arrested. I don't want to press charges on her. I don't want to find her.
Listen to me right now, then.
I don't know. I don't want them to find her. You're not listening to
But tell me
me.
why.
Because she saved my life.
But tell me, honey, there's obviously something wrong. There's obviously something wrong. This is going to be really bad if you can't tell me.
Look at how you're being right now. I have to with you.
No, I'm not being.
I don't want them to find her. I don't want to press charges, and I don't want to go down that road.
But you tell her?
I don't want to go down that road. I don't
Tell
want
me
to
why.
press her. Because she saved my life, and she's the reason why I get to hold my children every single day.
So you don't press charges. You still need to find out who it is.
What is going on? What is she trying to do now? Yeah, I don't know who her is. I thought she meant the person she was claiming that abducted her.
You're not making sense to me. To the point where I'm getting scared.
Oh, time is out.
Yeah. Or I can talk to him and tell him what you're thinking. Do you want me to know or not?
Well, hopefully you've had a chance to chat briefly.
The fears later, maybe. But I'd rather you just answer the question.
I don't know. I don't know.
You're in the driver's seat right now.
I think it's easier to control things once you know what the information is. We're just still at the talking stage. We're at the control stage.
You seem scared, Sherry.
No, I'm not scared.
What is it?
I don't want you to.
What is it, Sherry? Oh my God, yeah. Also, Keith scooted away from her.
We're not going to find her.
She's the reason why I get to see my children every day.
I agree, but we're not going to find her. We can skip to the rock into the water and rub up the pond if we want to now. This is the last time if you want to do this alone or with Keith.
Oh.
Keith's been through this also on a different level.
Oh.
I'm ready to move on and throw the dart and throw the rock and see what happens to the water. So, Sherry, look at me. What do you want?
I don't want her to get in trouble.
She's not going to get in trouble. The DNA came back to James Ray.
The DNA that was on you belongs to James Ray's.
The picture in the, can I get the picture? The picture of the table is James Ray's little brother. He died recently. We talked to him. We've been on a polygraph. We talked to everybody around him.
Who died?
We have the rental agreements, phone rental, the car rental agreements. We have everything that says that he said he told the truth.
That's James' brother. Deceased, Nick.
So everything, you've told us so many truths in this situation. The reason why you can describe the rooms is because you stayed in the room in the dark for hours, for days on end. The reason why you lost so much weight is because you stopped eating. The reason why you got a rash on your arm is because you cleaned his house. The reason why the brand is because he went to the store, bought the branding tools, and branded you. The reason why your nose was broke is because of a hockey stick. I know all of those things, and I know I know all of that because he passed a polygraph test. That said,
Okay. She was with an ex-boyfriend the whole time. She was now abducted. He was just with her ex-boyfriend, and he snitched on her in the end.
it's not an abduction. She asked me to come and get her.
No.
I rented a car,
No.
drove up and picked her up. He passed the polygraph test.
Why do they keep saying that too? Also, like, I thought they can't rely on polygraph tests to be like, oh, the results mean this.
Because polygraphs rely heavily on the skill of the administrator, they're not always accurate at detecting whether or not someone is telling the truth. The detectives know this, but are taking a very direct approach to confronting Sherry with all the evidence they have that contradicts her story, and are using the polygraph results to try to encourage her to finally drop the charade. Despite her verbal refusals, her body language shows that she knows the game is over. She completely covers her face and bends forward, closing herself off from the detectives. Meanwhile, Keith is leaning away from her with his arms crossed, likely experiencing an unfathomable slew of emotions.
He hurts me.
What's up?
We were friends.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way.
And he came and got you because you asked him.
No.
When was the last time you had contact with James?
His brother died.
Brother died in 2017.
What?
Is that right?
But this happened in 2016. Oh no, 20.
I don't remember.
I don't know. But before
Was
this.
it before or after the abduction? Before.
When was the last time you saw James?
I don't know. Forever ago, when I lived in Southern California.
So the last person-to-person contact you had with him was back in 2006? When you were living in Southern California?
I don't know.
So was it prior to your marriage?
It's him. There is no way it's him.
But we all know by now that this isn't true. She remembers everything. She's simply reluctant to admit in front of her husband that she was in communication with her ex-boyfriend, even following the incident. However, she lost the chance to get Keith out of the room and probably feels that the best chance she has at saving her marriage is to continue to lie.
He took us to the stores where he bought the chain.
Wow.
We talked to the friend who rented the car. The car that he rented drove over 900 miles in a day on the drop-off point. You did go in a dark room. That's true. You did lay in the back seat of the car. That's true. You did lose weight. You were branded. Your hair was cut. You did have bruises all over. But how those bruises got there are because you did it and James did something. The reason why your nose got broke is because you held the hockey stick to your face and he forced it into your nose. The reason why the brand is in a straight line is because he did it. He described exactly where it was. He told us exactly how he did it, where he did it, how he did it. Only you and I and maybe 5 other people know where the brand was. He told me immediately. Robert told friends and family you were there. His mom knew that you were there because, of course, it went news and everybody knew you guys dated.
Oh my God.
Everybody knew you guys had a relationship. So when it happened, of course, family reached out to him. He told him, yeah, she was here. But it said it hurt her. I didn't hurt her.
Keith is surprisingly still very calm. The title was clickbait. He did not lose it. At no point still did he lose it.
It's notable that Sherry did tell many truths during the prior interviews. But since law enforcement didn't ask any hard questions or even doubt her answers, she was able to lie by omission and give the appearance of being truthful.
James' DNA was confirmed on your clothing. The two of you haven't seen each other in over a decade. You told me that you haven't been in his room, you haven't had contact with him in over 10 years. However,
You described his bedroom to a T.
But also, did they Are they saying she and her ex killed his little brother?
And the DNA on you was still a vibrant piece of DNA. 10-year-old DNA dies. The DNA that was there specifically was non-seminal fluid, was seminal fractions. You got that from his house somewhere.
Oh my God.
So whether it was the bed that you were sleeping on, whether it was the couch, whether it was anywhere in there, when somebody would come to the door and be around the property, you would call James. James would call Robert, which is those 2 doors down. Robert would run people off the property. Robert told me all of that.
Keith's gaze is fixed on the door, silently communicating that he wants to leave the room. His leg is shaking in an attempt to relieve nervous energy, while Sherry's
Not
feet are
losing it
turned
still.
towards
Not
Keith,
losing it.
indicating that she wants to connect with him. Keith's foot that is on the ground is turned towards the door, showing that he would like to leave the room. He's clearly uncomfortable, as demonstrated by the grooming behaviors he's exhibited throughout this segment of the interview, like cleaning his nails and fixing his shirt. Surely any husband would be confused, angry, and embarrassed if they were sitting in Keith's chair.
There were so many
Poor
truths
Keith.
that were a part of your story that it's hard to decipher the lies until we put it all together. Until he says, hey, how did you pick her up? I opened up the passenger side seat. I opened the door. You jumped in the back seat. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? I don't know. It was weird. So are you calling James a liar? Are we not believing James what he told me?
No.
I know you're scared.
Cannot believe that it is James.
I can't believe James told us the truth. You called James to pick you up. You mailed him a letter with your address. You used a burner phone
Wow.
to call another burner phone for James to come and get you.
You're saying since you're married, you haven't called James?
No, I have called James.
Because phone records show that you do. You did. The phones don't lie. The DNA doesn't lie, Sherry.
His polygraph doesn't lie.
So you can go a couple different directions now.
His story.
I've already told you lying to me is a crime. So you walk out the store with telling lies, and that's a crime.
I think we need my lawyer.
Oh.
This isn't making any sense.
That's not making
Girl.
sense, Sherry. The parts that
That
don't make
it's
sense.
James.
He's
No.
like, that's your problem now. He does not even care to help.
The parts that don't make sense are that you're accusing 2 females who abducted you when it was James. The part that you were branded, James did it. He told me he did it.
No.
Who would sit there and say,
No.
I branded Sherry on her right shoulder blade? Who does that?
Sherry clearly doesn't understand the importance of the officer's warning against lying. In the face of a federal agent, the consequence for being dishonest increases dramatically. Title 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 states that to knowingly and willingly make a materially false or fraudulent statement to a federal agent is a
Whoa, a
felony,
felony?
punishable by up to 5 years in jail. Even a basic denial of wrongdoing, commonly known as an exculpatory no, is unlawful. The only safe alternative for a suspect would be to request an attorney and say nothing more. Sherry eventually has this realization and tries to align herself with Keith by saying, "We need my lawyer." But he doesn't bother responding and instead turns his head away from her, a clear indication that for him, there is no we.
Yeah.
Keith motions to one of the detectives, seemingly asking for permission to leave the room. He's heard enough. The implications of physically separating himself from Sherry are significant, as if to say that he no longer has anything to do with this. With her protector gone, Sherry's on her own now.
You see the table, I can stand.
Keith's gonna wait out there, Sherry. Were there issues between you and Keith? Is that why you needed to leave? I mean, we read your text message. We're already aware of some issues, but enlighten us if that's the case. If there was a valid reason for you to leave, let me know what that was.
So he still didn't lose it, though.
So, were you in an abusive relationship with him? Have you told other people in your life that Keith has abused you in the past when that wasn't true? where there was an incident at a party that you got hurt playing, like, I don't know, Wii or Pictionary or something, and then you told other friends that Keith hurt you. When there was witnesses at the party that said that you got hurt during a party. Then you go tell James that you were being hurt, you were being abused, and you couldn't come forward because Keith has friends in law enforcement. If all of is that true? Has Keith ever been abusive towards you?
We are not talking about my husband.
Sherry's answer here is evasive. Although this can be a sign of deception, it's also common for victims of abuse to protect and love their abuser. However, considering how much trouble Sherry is in, if she were abused, it would make more sense for her to report that now. Perhaps Sherry still hasn't fully registered the severity of the consequences she's facing. Or she may think she can still cry her way out of trouble with the police and her husband, so she's refraining from throwing him under the bus. If she gave him up, that would surely ruin any chances of her saving her marriage. Then there's the obvious possibility that she was lying about the abuse all along, something she's proven to be very skilled at. It's important to note that Keith's story of the Wii remote was corroborated. Thus, Sherry has just essentially been caught making at least one false report of abuse on her husband. Who knows what other tall tales she has floating around?
Has Keith ever been abusive towards you?
We are not talking about my husband. I love my husband.
So why leave? Is James lying to us?
I want to leave my husband. I want to be with my children. I would never leave my children.
But you did leave them permanently. You came back to them. Ultimately.
No.
You left them every day at daycare. So it's not like, hey, James talked about that decision when you were driving down, how hard that was. You left at 10 o'clock knowing that Keith was going to get home late, knowing you were going to leave the kids at daycare, and how much that tore you up on the drive down.
Oh my God, wow.
Like when you were in Eureka, you give him a call. You just start chatting with him. Told him some of your problems. And when did it turn from just chatting to his plan to get away?
No.
You were getting a hold of Donovan Mitski the night before.
Why did I do that?
Donovan?
We're trying to understand why you did that too.
We're trying to understand all of it.
I don't know how this is happening because I was doing that.
Doing what?
Such an awful choice. Talking to other guys that has got me here.
Why did you ask James to come get you? You asked Donovan the night before to come meet up with you. Everything happened at once. You were asking him to.
Stupid thing to do.
Why did you ask him to come pick you up? Was that an I don't know? What's that?
Can't be James.
It is James.
He understood.
Is she really still trying this?
So he came clean. Now it's your chance to do the same. And if you don't, you're going to be shaking your head later and say, I should have told him what happened.
Talk to me like that.
Like what?
This comment proves that Sherry is still adamant on taking the victim's stance. She's now insinuating that the detectives are doing something to her, rather than acknowledging that she'd wronged them and everyone else involved.
Yeah, how is she getting an attitude after all of this? I know, it's
She's likely
crazy.
used to being able to manipulate others
Let me
into
get a
treating her
snack.
kindly. But these officers have dealt with Sherry's tears for 4 years now. They're not going to get her anywhere this time.
Once you had to have known that this was going to come at some point.
I was talking to my mom.
What's that?
This is all my fault. I was talking to so many guys.
Well, we know
Such a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, but then how did we get to Costa Rica, or sorry, Costa Mesa? Did James pick you up? You told me earlier that a girl pointed a gun at you. Is that detail, which one's true? It's only one. Only one of those are true, Sherry.
Someone asked for this.
No, nobody asked for this. Sherry, I believe you. Nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for ABC News to park out in your driveway.
There was no way you could have predicted that this was going to blow up and to be as big as it was.
Who picked you up? Was it James or was it a female that pointed a gun at you? Can you please answer that?
Chair Lenny, oh, I wish.
You're shaking your head no.
I will not get. I'm not talking.
I wish we could all just have like one big movie night, wherever all of us meet up at a theater, cram together, or 90 Day.
To you about that. I'm not going to get anybody in trouble. I've told you before. I do not want anyone to get in trouble.
Well, you're going to get yourself in trouble at this point. That's where we're at.
Yeah, in Dearborn.
So either James.
I didn't do anything wrong.
I know you didn't do anything wrong. Right now, you're not telling the truth, which is doing something wrong. That's where we're at. So, but the one.
You're saying that it's James.
No,
We're saying James's DNA was on you. We know you were in that room at his house.
Then who
So
is the woman? Then who is the woman?
Well,
I'm actually still trying to corroborate her lie.
Okay, that's why we're asking you. It
did
was
the
a
woman point a gun at you and put you in the car, yes or no? Is that where we're at?
Don't remember.
You don't remember if a female pointed a gun at you and put you in the car? Is that what you're saying, Sherry?
I've always
Awesome, C, thank you.
told you I don't remember getting in the car. I've always told you I don't remember getting in the car.
Correct. But did a female point a gun at you, yes or no?
I know you know who she is. I'm not saying it. I don't want her to get.
Yeah, took a page straight out of Casey Anthony's book. I was thinking that too. Like, she's so similar to Casey Anthony in that, and just like being able to just spew lies, and it's like. Just spewing lies and then like so aggressively holding on to them, even though they make no sense.
Trouble.
She's not
You
getting in
know who she is.
You're getting in trouble.
I am not. I didn't do anything.
Right. But right now, answer this one question. Did a female point a gun at you, yes or no?
I am done speaking to you until I talk to a lawyer. I will not arrest her. I am with my children because of her.
At this point, Sherry.
I don't understand. There is no way that I
Yeah,
can-
also what happened to, she said she asked for a lawyer, like, why didn't you keep insisting at this point instead of ruining it even more for herself?
You did love me. I agree.
This is a classic example of an exculpatory no statement, which isn't protected under the Fifth Amendment. As the situation stands, Sherry could possibly be facing time for her lack of cooperation.
Sherry, if you want to talk to your attorney, that's fine. We can wrap this up. If you want to keep talking to us, that's a separate story, but you said you wanted to talk to your attorney, so from the beginning, you're free to go and you can go. I would ask you one more question.
Wait, she's not under arrest yet?
Just for your own welfare? Do you feel like harming yourself?
Welfare.
Do you feel like harming yourself?
No, I just knock my children and go home.
Okay.
Seeing as Sherry has now clearly requested an attorney, detectives wrap up their conversation with her, then briefly touch base with Keith separately.
Alright. I'm the idiot husband that stayed around the whole time.
Some of the details, some of the stuff don't know.
I mean, from my side, I feel like my whole world's gonna flip upside down again. Why is that? Why am I always getting held out of things? Like, why can't you just hit me with it?
I told you.
I know, yeah.
Because this happened Monday.
No, you're saying you can't tell me all this stuff.
It's still an ongoing investigation, so.
From my side, but now you're telling me, okay, you guys can go home now. Well, do you think I want her anywhere around my kids or around me at all at this point?
And again, we've talked a lot. I don't know what the next stages of this are. That's why.
It's not
that's
us
why.
together, I did that one.
Whatever those decisions are, I don't know.
But we can all agree that she's not over there, then obviously if somebody can do something like that to their body and try to trick everybody that they're probably not fit to.
It was 4 years ago.
Keith has a valid point here, given this was 4 years prior now, but for a person to engage in severe self-harm and bodily injury, there is typically a serious mental health crisis going on. Sherry was likely desperate when she asked James to assist her in harming herself, but the question still remains, Why was Sherry so desperate to disappear that she faked a kidnapping? Unfortunately for Sherry, the investigators were being honest with her about every piece of evidence they had. They'd even traveled over 8 hours to speak with James personally. At the start of the interview, James...
The computer off itself when that happens. I need a moment to collect myself. KP Bradley, thank you so much for 5 gifted subbies. And we're just at the end of this, 10 more minutes.
...attempted to lie to the detectives. He told them that he hadn't seen Sherry and didn't know anything about her disappearance. However, after being presented with the DNA
The Cheez-Its fell off my desk.
evidence and the possibility of it being used against him, he came clean.
So what did she have planned out?
She was trying to get away from her husband, and I don't know their deal. But that was just a friend calling me, and I'm like, well, I'm
But
good.
your understanding was that that's what she was saying, is she was
That's what
wanting
I'm
to get away
going
from him.
Yeah.
She was
I mean,
having a hard time.
What I know very little about them. I knew she got married when she got married.
So then what happened next?
That was it. I went and got her.
In what car?
A rental car.
Okay.
I mean, just my car's not.
Do you know what kind of rental?
I'm not, honestly, I can't even remember what it was. It was an SUV of some type. But I just don't remember what brand it was. It was just
What company?
the cheapest rental I could get.
Do you remember the color?
It could be white or silver or gray. I can't really remember, but I mean,
Light color.
it was a lighter color car.
And then what happened?
Just picked her up. Obviously it was what she wanted me to do, like how she wanted me to pick her up. I mean, I wasn't anything crazy. I just
Pulled over.
stopped the car. Was there a road? Yeah. Did I go up any road? No. To this day, I don't know where she lives in Reading. I know she's in Reading. She didn't give me any.
Did you even get out of the car?
No.
So you unlock the door, she gets in.
Yeah.
Front seat, back seat?
Back seat.
Back seat. Then what happened?
Just the drive.
Did
Grab
she stay in the back the whole time?
Yeah.
Would you guys
She
talk
laid
about?
down, just, take a nap. I don't know.
So during that 22 days, she has some significant injuries.
Yeah.
So there's a brand on her.
Yeah.
There's significant bruising. There's like, how did all that stuff come
I mean,
about?
she did a lot of that while she was here. I mean, she just hit herself with something, created a bruise or something. And I helped her. I mean, I didn't punch her or anything. I didn't even put hands on her or anything.
How'd you help her?
She just was just like,
What James reveals next is completely twisted.
banked a puck off my leg. So I shot a puck off her leg, lightly.
What does that mean?
Okay, Bruce.
Like a hockey puck?
Yeah. I mean,
The idea of having hockey pucks intentionally shot at you for the specific purpose of causing visible bruises is sickening, to say the least.
What about the big one on her arm?
that might have been her. I mean, there's not too many people that say come up and
Hit me.
hurt me, right? I played hockey.
Right.
When I fight, when that's like a thing, is no one's asking you, you do it. But I'm not physical ever with women. I mean, it's just, I just did what she hurt herself for some stuff here. I was gone all day, 8-10 hours. And then some stuff I helped her with.
What about the burns?
That was us, she wanted.
How did that
Where's
happen?
the
Oh
tool?
my god.
Huh? Well, that is just trash. It wasn't mine. We bought it. It was like
Where'd you buy it from?
what do you call it? A wood burning tool.
How did was she standing, laying down?
Just sitting. Like, I mean, it's not. How do you brand somebody
He has a point there.
like that's asking you to do it? I'm like I don't even know. So
So she's sitting like that.
if you were sitting here, I was sitting on the ground too. You'd just be sitting in front of me.
The way you did it there, it seemed like you did it quickly. Like,
Well,
that's it.
you can't hold that. I mean, you can't cattle brand too hard. It's so fine it'll burn through the. It was so hot. It was red.
You also said at one point that she had a phone that she was looking up stuff. Do you know what that is, or?
It was. She had a phone.
Okay.
What she had with her was what she had with her.
Okay, but she brought a phone with her. It came down here.
I think it was a prepaid one, I'm not really sure what phone she had. I know she left a phone.
Anything else?
We have to know what kind of phone, right? Like, if it's an iPhone or not an iPhone. That already
What
said
about
so
the
much.
window? Anything to deal with the window? Did she do anything with the window?
The window?
Yeah.
Oh, like on the this window here in the room. I'm sorry. I was like, anyway. It was just there's just boards over it, so she couldn't see. There was no light coming in. She wanted to be dark.
Who put the boards up?
I did. I just screwed them in there for her.
Where'd you get the wood from?
I'd actually had it. It's from Home Depot, but I had it because I built a workbench, and it was just plywood. It was just 3 sheets of particle board or pressed board.
On the way up, what rental car was it? What kind of car was it?
It's like a Challenger.
And that was a light Challenger.
Okay, do they believe him like 100%? It's weird for him to be like, oh, I don't know which car it was. It was just whatever, the cheapest one I could find there. I don't know what the brand, but now he remembers that it was a Challenger. And that's such a distinctive car. It's not like...
It was black or gray. Dark blue maybe even.
He must be talking about a different car. Because first he said it was an SUV.
No, it wasn't blue. It was dark gray or black.
Dark, like Dodge Challenger.
Yeah, silver gray.
And then you'd be gone most of the day, and you'd come back. You'd see different injuries on her.
Not always. I mean, it was. Yeah. That stuff was more towards her getting.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Okay.
You know,
how long of that frame is there?
A day or two. I mean, we weren't doing that every day for 22 days. She was here. As she was planning up to going, you know, she was going to stay longer. Was her plan. I don't know how long, but she couldn't be away from her kids anymore.
Let me back up a little bit. One of the injuries she had was a pretty deep burn on her forearm.
That one, I don't know. That might have been self-inflicted.
What about her hair? What happened with her hair?
She chopped that.
What time frame?
Pretty early. I mean, within the first few days, couple days. So I wasn't here.
Anything else that we can think of at this point? Besides...
No, I was trying to rack, though. I was thinking about that trail. I know how I didn't have the phone. I had MRSA and I was in Hoag Hospital.
When?
Prior to all this stuff, I had MRSA in my leg and I was in there for 8 or 9 days. Level 4 ICU for blood infection in my bloodstream.
Okay.
And they were giving me 50-50 to cut my knee here. All that muscle rotted out. My foot was swollen, my toe. They had to cut that out in there. But she sent me a care package and it had the directions in it. Because I couldn't remember how I got that road if my phone was off, and I don't think I had it.
Sherry did?
Yeah.
Perhaps the most perplexing aspect of Sherry's stay with James was the fact that multiple witnesses were aware of her presence, yet none came forward, despite the widespread media coverage devoted to Sherry's disappearance. Police were rightfully outraged with Sherry for concocting the lie that wasted years' worth of resources, manpower, and time, not just for them, but for the entire Shasta County community who gave their days to search for her. It also caused law enforcement to infiltrate the lives of dozens of innocent people for no reason. The worst part is that from the day she was found on the highway to the day she was caught, Sherry never showed remorse for all the lives she upended with her antics. But that wouldn't stop the consequences from eventually catching up with her when she least expected it. Her retribution would come 2 years after her ruse was discovered. On March 3, 2022, while Sherry attended her children's piano lessons, a man entered the building and explained to Sherry that her vehicle had been hit in the parking lot. Of course, the claim wasn't true, and the man wasn't just any man. He was an FBI agent. As Sherry walked outside to inspect her vehicle, another agent was waiting to arrest her. She screamed no and attempted to flee, throwing her cell phone approximately 20 feet from her location. They were able to handcuff and detain her despite the struggle. Sherry left the school's parking lot in a police vehicle and was taken to the county jail where she was booked for making false statements to law enforcement and 34 counts of mail fraud. A month later, on April 18th, Sherry pleaded guilty to 1 count of mail fraud and to providing false information. In ironic contrast to Keith's claim in his first interview, he filed for divorce 2 days after she submitted her guilty plea. He also filed for sole custody of their 2 kids. According to him, he was apprehensive of his wife's mental health and concerned for their children's well-being after the trauma they'd endured. Since then, Keith has moved away from Redding and has focused his attention on making sure their kids lead stable and healthy lives. During her sentencing hearing, her defense team pushed for her to receive a penalty of a month in prison, followed by 7 months of house arrest. The prosecution argued that she deserved a harsher sentence of 8 months in prison and 3 years of supervised release. But the presiding judge had another idea. He took into consideration the officers who relentlessly looked for her, as well as everyone else who believed and invested in Sherry. On September 19th, 2022, Sherry Papini was sentenced to 1.5 years in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Such a lengthy sentence would also serve to deter copycats who might consider attempting the same attention-seeking
A year, though? That's not that bad.
behavior. She was also instructed to pay $309,902 in restitution, which includes the $30,000 she'd received from the Victim Compensation Fund, the $128,000 worth of disability money she was given following her return, and $150,000 as reimbursement for law enforcement's efforts to find her and her imaginary kidnappers. 6 years after the day this all started, Sherry was finally held accountable for her fraudulence. Before she was taken away, Sherry, in tears, apologized to everyone she'd impacted and stated that she was ready to take full responsibility by peacefully accepting her sentence. Even her defense attorney, who was later interviewed outside the courthouse, would admit
That's true. If she was a person of color, she would have gotten worse. It's literally so insane that she gets only a year, or I think they said like 1.5 years or something. That's so crazy to me. Like, she wasted 4 years of, like, he just, like what the narrator just said, the manpower, the resources. Like, she affected so many lives with this, and she has to do less time than what she put other people through.
that it was a fair sentence, though it obviously wasn't what they were hoping for. No one knows exactly why Sherry left. According to her attorney, he doesn't think she knows either. Still, it's entirely possible that given the mental health care that she needs, we might be able to finally get an answer from her following her release in early 2024. Until then, Sherry is incarcerated at Federal Correctional Institution Victorville in San Bernardino County.
Hi. Wow. Well, that's that. That was so funny how she said, I mean, her attorney said he doesn't think she knows why either, why she left. Okay. Lunatic, yeah. No, that's so crazy. Like, that's what they said, right? 1.5 years. That is such an insane sentence. Like, she got to be the main character for once. Also, what was she expecting? That's what I don't get. Like, really, what were you expecting? Why is my... And the fact that she just left her kids like that, that is so sad. I mean, she came back to them 22 days later because she missed them, but still, how do you leave them in the first place? That's what I want to know, Sherry. Yeah, that's awful. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna check out now. Maybe just woke up, so I'm gonna hang out with him. Thank you guys so much. I had a great time with you learning about the real life Gone Girl. And before we get going, actually, let's raid. Here. Let's raid Noboru. Who? Oh, she is? Me. I can't even, like... Oh, I know that this is the raid button, raid channel. There we go. Okay, guys, that's all raid Noboru. Have a good night. Met her at the live show. She was really sweet. Everybody, good night. I will see you all on Thursday. Thanks, Avery. Thanks for always pushing. Okay, good night, guys. Make sure to say hello for me.